Sales, service, body shop, and parts. Just off Century and I-94, or you guessed it, MerrittChev.com. Merritt Chevrolet, the dealership right in your backyard. Together, let's drive. See dealer for details.
Taxes was not knowing your full financial picture. Now Taxes is getting and maximizing your refund all in one place. Credit Karma, where a TurboTax expert can do your taxes for you. They'll get you the most money back, guaranteed. Then you can do more with all that money, all in Credit Karma. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Get started today. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Jason DeRusha is next on News Talk 830 WCCO KMNB HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul, an Odyssey station.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There were some legal setbacks for President Trump today. One federal judge blocked the administration from freezing federal assistance. Another gave Trump 2 days to release billions of dollars in foreign aid. And another blocked his efforts to stop the nation's refugee admissions program. Matt Piper has that.
Refugee aid groups that sued argued the program went against the system Congress created for moving refugees into the U.S. The lawsuit says some refugees who had been approved to come to the U.S. had their travel canceled on short notice, and families who have waited years to reunite have been kept apart.
More than 20 civil service employees resigned today from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. They said they wouldn't use their expertise to dismantle public services. The White House says Musk will attend the president's first cabinet meeting tomorrow. CBS's Weijia Jiang.
The question that is outstanding is how much power does Elon Musk really have? I mean, President Trump has been empowering him at every one of these twists and turns, calling his idea to make people justify their work in writing ingenious. And he says he backs this idea of having to write down your 5 accomplishments. But that doesn't mean a federal judge would agree.
The White House announced today it will now decide which journalists have access to the president's events. The White House Correspondents Association says leaders must not be able to choose their own press corps. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are struggling to agree on a budget. The Republican plan calls for deep cuts, and Democrats are worried that will result in cuts to Medicaid. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise.
Everybody's going to be thrown, according to Democrats, into all these horrible situations. There's only one problem. The word Medicaid is not even in this bill.
In Rome, correspondent Seth Doan has the latest on the Pope's condition.
Pope Francis remains in critical condition but is stable and has not had any other acute respiratory crises. In the evening, the Pope had a scheduled CAT scan to monitor his pneumonia in both lungs, and doctors are still not giving a prognosis.
Denny's is the latest restaurant chain to impose an egg surcharge. Nancy Chen has that.
The price hike won't necessarily hit every Denny's, but the restaurant declined to say which of the chain's 1,500 locations would see those surcharges. According to their website, the cost of a cooked egg, it starts at $2.99 right now.
Consumers are struggling with prices. Consumer confidence plummeted this month. Bankrate.com's Mark Hamrick
marks a continued decline. People are more pessimistic about the future, and they aren't all that enthusiastic about the present either.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 159 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Few clouds, 50 degrees now at 3:03. Good afternoon. I'm Susie Jones. The hour's top story: some community activists are calling for the termination of 2 Hennepin County deputies after video surfaced showing them punching a man while trying to make an arrest. WCCO TV shared the video of the incident that took place on January 9th in Minneapolis. The sheriff's office says the deputies did report the man was resisting and that they properly documented their use of force. They say the man is a felon who had a firearm.
Get your hand. That's no hand back. You're not doing it. I'm not doing it. No.
The sheriff says they will be conducting a review to determine appropriate next steps, but activists, again, telling WCCO TV they want more done.
This excessive force and this excessive use, this illegal, unlawful use that we continue to see even that took place with George Floyd. We will not tolerate it within our community no more.
The 34-year-old man was arrested on weapons charges, but never formally charged and is now out of custody, according to online public records. A defendant in an upcoming Feeding Our Future fraud trial has been ordered jailed for witness tampering.
30-year-old Abdinasir Abshir has a detention and bond revocation hearing scheduled for Friday. It was last week when Abshir reportedly approached a witness in the trial of Feeding Our Future founder Amy Bach. The judge then ordered defendants in all upcoming Feeding Our Future cases to stay away from her courtroom. Abshir's trial is scheduled to start in August. He's accused of running a site that received $5 million of fraudulent federal funds meant to feed children during the COVID pandemic. Steve Simpson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Rideshare drivers joined legislative leaders today in St. Paul to tout a plan that would allow the workers to form their own union. This comes a year after lawmakers approved driver minimum payments, which helped to keep Uber and Lyft operating in the state. State Senator Zainab Mohammed says the plan is still a work in progress.
This bill is currently being drafted now, and you won't see a language just yet. And we expect it to be introduced, hopefully, this session. And we're hoping to get committee hearings. We hope that legislators will listen to the stories of what drivers have been saying over the last few years as they have been coming to the legislature.
If the proposal is adopted, rideshare drivers would be able to negotiate with all companies for a common contract. Finally, WCCO Radio's Mark Fry is looking into racial covenants this week as part of a three-part series. Today, he reports on Falcon Heights, where nearly half of the homes have racist wording in their property deeds.
Although no longer enforceable, the racial covenants are a reminder of past efforts to keep Falcon Heights neighborhoods predominantly white. City Administrator Jack Linehan.
When you look at the raw data from Mapping Prejudice, they estimate roughly 600 properties in Falcon Heights have a racial covenant.
Work to identify those covenants started after the 2016 killing of Philando Castile. City Council member Paula Milkey says Falcon Heights is a close-knit community where residents take pride in the fact homes have often stayed in one family.
But it also just shows how we kept Black people out.
Falcon Heights is among the 29 cities who have joined the Just Eats Coalition, which has been helping property owners discharge covenants.
People who have initiated and are eager to do it and responsive, it's a delay.
Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
WCCO News Time is 3:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Whole Foods Market, shop in store online. Things are quiet to start off the afternoon rush. Things looking good for North 35E right out of St. Paul up to 694. 694 westbound, some slowing University to 252 and North 169 congested past Rockford Road. Save on quality mains at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off no antibiotics ever. Bone-in beef, short ribs with prime through February 25th. Braise until tender in a Dutch oven and serve over steamed rice. All supplies last. Shop in store online. Terms apply. Terry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
I use it. It works for me, and I am thrilled to be able to share the information with you. Jordana Green here, and yes, I'm talking about CBD.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Mini Leaf, the home of Minnesota's best legal products. Find them at minileaf.com. Here is WCCO TV meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
It feels more like the last week of March than the last week of February. So mild, we have rain showers on the way. It will stay all rain tonight, 35 the overnight low, mostly cloudy, 44 tomorrow. It's going to be a bit breezy on Thursday, still a high in the mid-40s, flat out windy on Friday, and notably cooler this weekend.
Thank you, Chris. Right now we have mostly cloudy skies and 50 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Stay ahead of the game, whether it's politics or the Twins. News Talk 830 WCCO. Buckle up. Time for the ride home and the chance to get caught up on the day's news, plus whatever else he wants to riff on. This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Here's the star of the show and your host, Jason DeRusha.
Are you ready? All right.
Now live on your radio and streaming to the world at WCCOradio.com and the Odyssey app. Here's Jason DeRusha.
It is awkward to admit it. I've been scammed. I've almost scammed once, straight up scammed at least one more time that I can think of. I think it's important to talk about it because there's this idea that if you're scammed, you're an idiot. Welcome to Drive Time. It's you're not. I am. I mean, I guess if my evidence that all people who get scammed are not idiots, that I was scammed, I don't know if I'm making the case. But it's something people are embarrassed to talk about because it feels like a failure. I just asked Susie as she was walking out of the room if she's ever been scammed. And it's a yes. It's a yes. Yeah. I don't know. I don't tell a lot of people about it. And now I decided like I may as well tell everybody. But it's not, it feels like a personal failing. Right?
I think it's good you're sharing because then other people will hear you share and think they're not so dumb for having been victim as well.
You're not dumb. Like they're so sophisticated and sneaky. And there are two stories in the news about scams that are out there, and they're good, man. These scammers are so good. I am pretty savvy about the internet and the digital world and gets scammed. It's embarrassing. But they're out there. They're out there.
I have a friend who works at a credit union. She said people that come in on the brink of getting scammed out of thousands and thousands of dollars. They come in, they see, I need a cashier's check for $7,500 because I owe the IRS from a scam.
Wow.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think we need to talk about it more, and we need to really almost use a buddy system, I think, where if you're going to make a purchase online, maybe you need to run that by someone. Because I'll tell you, like, my wife is much more skeptical of stuff than you would think I would be skeptical. As professionally, I'm skeptical. But I'm skeptical at work all the time. And when I go home, sometimes I think I'm a little stupid.
You let your guard down.
You let the guard down.
Yeah. And you get emotional. When I got scammed, I had seen that someone had taken money out of my Wells Fargo account. And then a phone call came directly after and said, oh my gosh, this money's been taken. We need you to give us your code.
Right. So we can get in there and fix it.
And they ended up almost like, I think it was like $7,000.
Yeah.
Jason. And they caught it. And then they put up the big warning on Zelle, don't do this. If someone, yeah. But anyway, it's a big problem.
Thank you, Susie, for sharing. It's happened to you. Two things in the news that there's sort of a red alert about, which made me want to ask you guys if you wanted to share your stories of a time you've been scammed or someone you know or where you've been close to getting scammed, because maybe we can help each other, right? 651-461-9226 is our number. We are streaming live on YouTube on the WCCO radio channel. We're on X at DeRusha J. And we're on Facebook as well. So we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel so you get notified when we go live. And you can comment in the stream there as well. Two things going on right now. MNDoT warning that these fake texts and emails are coming out saying you owe tolls for using the MinPass lanes, the Easy Pass lanes here, or the tolls in other states. And I've gotten this text. Dan Cook, did you just get the text last week?
I got it last week while we were down in Florida.
And enough to make you at least take a moment and be like, did I do that?
Well, my first thought is, I never drive toll roads. I don't drive the MinPass lane. I don't drive anything with a toll. So my first instinct is immediately, oh, this is a scam.
Right.
And then I had to think about it for a second. Does it know that somehow there's got a GPS locator? Because when we were in the rental car down in Florida, did we hit something somewhere that triggered?
Right.
And I thought, no, I don't think that can't possibly be the case. This has got to be a scam. And so then I reported it as spam.
I wonder sometimes, I think it's the fear that something big or wrong is out there, right? Is that the number one motivator? What motivates people to click on these links? MNDOT saying they've seen this uptick. Something happens as spring travel season arrives. And so they've seen fake emails, fake text messages, trying to get people to pay a debt that they don't owe. And you click on the link And then it says settle your balance promptly to prevent any additional late fees. It sends you this website that's fake. You know, when you see all the dashes in the email or the dashes in the website, that's sort of when you get the idea that like, I don't know.
It used to be that the email address itself was a dead giveaway, right? Because MnDOT's not using a Gmail address,
Right.
But they've gotten even more sophisticated with those now too.
My scam story happened through Facebook Marketplace. And boy, buying stuff online has been an amazing thing, right? But I almost got scammed trying to buy a car once. I was sitting on a computer at my parents' house, actually in Chicago. I was going to buy a car on eBay, used car. The price was so good. Jason, if it's too good to be true. Yeah. Sometimes you just want it to be true. You want it to be true. But I had a Facebook Marketplace experience where I was trying to buy a speaker. And it was just it was $150, $200. And the guy was like, they wanted it to be, I think they wanted it, the money, he wanted it through like Apple Cash. So, there's Apple Pay where you're using your credit card or whatever. He wanted the peer-to-peer. So it was Apple Cash. And I was like, okay, that seems reasonable. Like we had negotiated the price, the pickup, the whole thing. I paid, gone. Account deleted, person vanished, absolute silence. I was like, I just like $200 just right out the window. 651-461-9226. The problem is, says a texter, when we get older and more susceptible to fall for scams. I think that's partially true. As you're older, you tend to be more trusting. But this happened to me. Like my two incidents. I mean, I know I'm 50 now, so you guys could say I'm older, but I don't think I'm exactly in the category of people that you normally think of as fallen for a scam. And this is another point from a 507 texter. I think it'd be a wonderful idea if you guys would talk about scamming that's going on more frequently. We have such a wide variety of ages. It's not just the old anymore. The young people need to be aware of this also. Yeah. Now, it does happen to the elderly. And that's to me, like, I don't know, man. Like, I understand, like, even scammers got to try to make a living. I get it. The hustle is real. But when you're scamming old people, it just, My elderly father-in-law was scammed out of $40,000, says a texter. He was contacted on his landline. They told him his identity had been stolen and was used to commit child sexual abuse. He was told to send cash for fines in order to clear his name. He went back to the bank a number of times and mailed cash. He is an extremely intelligent man, but his age and the fact he's a bit of a Luddite made him a good target.
Technology is a huge part of this, right? Especially as you get older, when it becomes more difficult, just flat out more difficult to keep up with all the changing technology. That's, I think, as much, it's not a matter of, older people not being as intelligent or anything like that. It's just, trying to keep up with what's going on out there is difficult.
Yeah.
And they know that. The scammers know that, and they're trying to take advantage of you.
And I think that, the FBI here in the Twin Cities talked about the sort of sex guilt that happens. So this is a major issue happening right now with younger people, where you'll get involved in like a Snapchat kind of conversation with a young person. And sort of how this happens is that people sometimes you exchange nude pictures. Like, I know it's easy to judge, but like this is sort of the way the world goes now. And so you send that picture, and then the person turns around and says, I'm going to put this on social media. Here's your Instagram account. I'm following it. I'm going to blast this out, this nude picture of you out everywhere, unless you send me $300 or whatever. And you feel you're so freaked out by it. What are you supposed to do? Let's go to Mike in Woodbury. He's on the CCO Talk and Text line. Mike, thanks for calling in. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll tell you one thing. About a while back, I have some relatives on my mom's side who really came close of sending money or whatever because, well, some of them, you know, they have a Hispanic surname, which I will not name on the air. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they were getting this from this so-called nonprofit organization that you know, that assists people whom may be culturally disadvantaged or whatever for whatever legality related matter.
Right.
Particularly like those in the Hispanic community or whatever. Or
at this time, yeah.
It seems like quite obvious that whoever this individual or this alleged scam artist or artists that were causing this kind of randomly picked people with you know, Hispanic surnames or whatever, and they were attempting to seize the opportunity, like, say, would you give this amount of money to help pay to help send culturally disadvantaged or pay for their legal defenses or those. I mean, they were
straight up
and they, you know, it seems like quite obvious that when they randomly selected people with certain surnames or whatever, that kind of gave them a reason to, you know, suggest that they probably have some kind of sense of vulnerability, and that's what they were attempting to exploit at that time. It's really someone especially, and these people probably were not Hispanic.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's just how they were finding it.
Yeah, and they're good at staying a step ahead of so that the law can't touch them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, often it turns out these people are impossible to track and trace. Let's, Phil, stay on the line. More calls coming in. Lots of text too. So we'll share some more of these examples. Like, don't feel like you're stupid. It happened to me. Dan got the text that the warning is going out about right now. So we could try to take care of each other here. Drive Time continues after this on CCO.
More Drive Time with DeRusha is on the way following these messages on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Financial advice should be holistic and tailored to your life. I'm Ryan Antkowiak, financial advisor with Baird Private Wealth Management and the president of the Financial Planning Association of Minnesota. At Baird, we provide investment and financial planning advice for all areas of your life: family, retirement, estate planning, and charitable giving. Plus, we coordinate with your tax and legal advisors to ensure you have one comprehensive financial plan that makes sense for you. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdTwinCities.com.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
It's time to take action to stop your sleep struggle. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary. Most insurance accepted. If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Drive Time with DeRusha resumes now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Talking scams. Alerts going out right now about these toll Easy Pass texts. Texter calling in saying they were scammed on that text. Indeed, that HOV, a friend just bid on that HOV scam, got a text that said the friend illegally used the lane. She tried to contest she tried to settle. Huh. So the texter, the scammer, says you got a fine for illegally using the HOV lane. So she tries to settle with her credit card, and they notify back like, oh, that card didn't go through. So then she gave him another card. And then she gave him another card 3 times. They said your card. And so they stole the credit. Oh, my gosh. Holy moly. All right, let's go to the CCO talk and text line. Talk to Phil. Phil, thanks for staying through the break. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Jay, I want to say, how's it going? Top of the hour to you?
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Okay, so one of the local papers around town here was trying to scam me out of some money. And here's what I did. I kind of solicited him back. I told him, I'm an Amway dealer. I says, and she didn't know what to say. And then she says, I go, well, if you buy my product, I go, I'll pay whatever you guys got. I'll pay whatever. And the lady was confused because I was doing it back to her. and then she says, I'll get a hold of my supervisors. We'll get back to you. Never heard from her ever again.
That did that. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, sometimes messing with these people. If you know it's a bit, right? Steve, you're on CCO. Thanks for calling. Tell me your scam story.
Well, I've got a lot of them. I'm a retired police officer, and I took a lot of calls from the elderly that, had been scammed, and one including my son's first grade teacher. And she said, Steve, I'm so embarrassed. I'm a teacher. Me and my husband should know better, but they lost like $7,000 to a lottery thing. And then just last week, I was at Lowe's shopping. I was at registers, and the manager was speaking with this elderly lady who was trying to buy $2,000 worth of gift cards. So she was on a software thing. And she had just given $4,000 the day before. So it took him and I about half an hour to convince her that she was being scammed.
Oh,
but
it's so hard because you don't want to admit it, right? As it's happening to you, you do. Even when the evidence is clear and someone's trying to tell you, it's still hard to understand. Like, oh no! Like I remember when I got scammed, I was like, I kept thinking. And now I look back, I'm like, how stupid. But I kept thinking like, well, like maybe something just happened to his account. Like maybe the speaker's going to show up. Maybe it's like, no, it was $200 out the window. But luckily it was only $200. Yeah.
And then, and of course I've been called numerous times and Facebook, when you try to sell something, inevitably the very first call you get within 30 seconds of posting it is a scammer.
Yeah.
So, and
Oh.
I have fun. It's kind of a hobby of mine now that I'm retired in messing with scammers and playing along with them. And they don't like it when you turn the tables.
No, really good. Good call. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
And it's worth noting there too, and Steve brings it up, but scammers are counting on your shame as a big part of how they get away with this stuff.
Right.
And that's, I mean, it's important, as much as, look, if you're lucky enough to recognize that that's what's going on and you dodge it, good on you. But shaming other people who don't dodge it is part of what propagates this stuff.
Right.
We had a texter earlier that was, trying to act smarter than the entire room. about it. And that's absolutely what they count on. You're playing into their hands when you shame other people for getting caught, because it happens to people who are perfectly smart, who are perfectly street savvy.
For sure.
And they just, they miss the fastball. It happens.
And that's why I share that it happened
Absolutely.
to me. And it almost happened. I mean, I was down the road ready to send like $10,000 for a car that I never was going to get. And I mean, I'm no Luddite when it comes to the internet. Texter saying my mom almost got scammed out of $10,000. Someone called and told her that I had been in a car accident. Person told her they would put me on the line, and she swears that it was my voice. So maybe it was an AI simulation of my voice. She went to her bank, and thankfully the people at the bank knew that it was a scam, because otherwise it would have been, it would have been 10 grand. Yikes. Texter saying nice of that off-duty cop to help out at Lowe's too when the gal was being scammed. The buddy system is really, this is true of so many things in life. If you can take a beat, just take a beat and ask somebody else or think about it. It seems so obvious, but again, like I'm telling you, this has happened to me, and it is no accident that this Easy Pass toll scam is going around in Minnesota and it's going around all over the country, is because you see it and you're like, oh my God, I got to solve this problem. And you click the link and you're like, oh, I'll send the money and I'll solve it. And next thing you know, it's too late. Just taking that beat. And you hate to become, you hate to be the person who assumes every interaction is a scam, because it's a terrible way to go through life. But it's not a bad idea to assume anything that comes on your phone or in your email is probably a scam. What's the downside of that? There's not much downside.
No, just taking that beat and then finding somebody else that you trust and saying, hey, have you seen something like this before I do? That kind of communal discernment is huge.
All right. Appreciate everybody texting, and so many texts. I couldn't get to all of them, of people sharing the things that have happened to them, and commenters on our video stream as well are talking about Social Security scams, people looking for rental places, another scam. It's out there. The digital world makes it easy. We are going to come back and talk about something that is not a scam, but it feels like it to a local business owner. You've got an unsafe intersection and the state wants to fix it, but the solution is knocking down a very popular restaurant. Oof, this is a tough one. We'll talk to the local business owner about the effort to save Stanley's. What do you think is the right way to handle it? I don't know, man. We'll talk about it coming up.
Jason DeRusha and DriveTime needs to make a brief pit stop on News Talk 830 WCCO. To all the fans who have discovered the voice message feature on the Odyssey app.
Hey, Jason, great show. I just have a comment about that.
We say, you're welcome.
Here's my own perspective.
To those of you who haven't used it yet, we ask, what are you waiting for?
Mike in Burnsville. Oh, hell no.
Click the microphone right next to the Listen Live button and record your thoughts whenever you want.
And that's it. Thank you.
Exclusively on the Odyssey app for News Talk 830 WCCO.
We've all got a thing. Yes, even you. If you love fashion, car parts, trading cards, whatever you're into, it's on eBay. So go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
At the Original Mattress Factory, we know that convenience is key. That's why we've made mattress shopping simple and stress-free. Shop in-store or online, whatever works best for you. No high-pressure sales tactics or fake promotions. Our prices are clearly marked, and we openly compare our products to other brands. With our streamlined selection, you won't be overwhelmed by duplicate options, and our 365-day comfort policy provides for peace of mind. Experience the ease of buying factory direct. Visit OMF today for better sleep tonight.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day?
If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
We're going to find some slowing traveling eastbound 394 into downtown Minneapolis past Worth Park, right across town eastbound jamming up between Gleason and 35W. Up on the north side, 694 slowing in both directions between Highway 10 and 252. East 94 slows past Lexington into downtown St. Paul. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCC.
The face of Minnesota veterans is changing. For the Centennial Year celebration, DAV of Minnesota invites you to join the ongoing effort to fulfill promises made to the men and women who served our great state and nation. Donate today at davmn.org.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by DAV of Minnesota. Here is WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
It's still so mild out there that we have rain in the forecast tonight. Falling back to 35, so there shouldn't be any mixing going on. Mostly cloudy with a high of 44 tomorrow. We'll stay in the mid-40s Thursday, but the wind is going to pick up a bit. That'll make it feel cooler. It will be warm Friday, but a very windy day and a notably cooler day for our Saturday.
It is partly cloudy in Minneapolis right now. The temperature is 48 degrees on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
I was talking with a legislator about what percentage of Minnesotans we thought actually were paying attention to this. He said 15%. I said that was aggressive.
If that's the number, you take the under.
5%?
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
On the one hand, you have an unsafe intersection. On the other, to widen it, the state wants to knock down a neighborhood restaurant that has been a key part of Northeast Minneapolis. The restaurant in question is Stanley's Northeast Barroom. It's at the intersection of Lowry and University. It's not a great intersection. Visibility is tough. Stanley's comes right up to the sidewalk. And it makes sense to reconstruct University Avenue. But you had to take Stanley's with it. The restaurant has an effort going on right now to speak out and push for a different solution that would achieve the same goals. So let's bring in Luke Durheim, who is with Craft and Crew Restaurants. That is the group that owns Stanley's. Luke, it's good to visit with you.
Thanks, Jason, for having us on.
You guys you're not arguing that this is that this intersection is great. I assume you've had cars crash into your building before, right?
Since we've opened in 2010, Jason, I think we've had roughly around 20 semis alone clip Stanley's on the corner of that intersection, let alone the other accidents, which we've been told about 4x traffic accidents versus a normal intersection. So yeah, we know firsthand that it's problematic.
So when did you find out that the plan from the state of Minnesota, the current plan that MNDoT is looking at, would wipe out your building?
We discovered back in November, we heard kind of through the grapevine of a Hennepin County employee. There's a large Lowry Avenue project been going on to the east of us that's shut down businesses in the corridor for the last couple of years, and we knew it was coming to us. And now we heard in November kind of rumblings that it might actually also be a 2-year university project. And at that point, they told us one of the plans would be going through your dining room. And that was not something we ever heard before. And so that raised a little bit of a problem in our eyes. So we're like, what does that mean? So we really been asking questions, found out more information in December, and had a meeting with them since. And we just didn't really think that the public was also really understanding what this really would do to that whole intersection too.
What would it do? Because I don't know the details of what MNDOT is proposing here.
So MnDOT is ultimately looking to improve the traffic flows and to identify a truck route, which it is because you have a county road and a state road there.
Right.
And right now there's 4 solutions that they're proposing, 2 of which they've told us in private are the only 2 that they're actually considering, which would be moving the Lowry Avenue to the north and removing Stanley's and removing 5 other businesses along that north end of the Lowry University. And the other option would be to go to the south and have about the same impact of businesses to that direction. However, we think that there might be actually some, if it moves to the south, some of those businesses would still be able to operate, unlikely compared to if they go to the north. We're so close to the intersection that if they go to the north, there is no saving Stanley's in that layout is how they have it currently.
I mean, tell me a little bit, I've been to Stanley's a bunch of times. Like I understand what it means to the neighborhood and to the community. Tell me in your view, what would the loss be like? Because you can find another building, you can, you can find another restaurant location, but to you, Stanley's, it's more than just a restaurant.
It is. It's been a restaurant and bar for over 130 years at that particular location.
Yeah.
At that spot. I mean, we go back all the way to, back to the start of the century. It was a bar. And so if you look back at the history, not only from when we've been in it since 2010, it's been a gathering spot and an institution for that whole community in Northeast Minneapolis that over the years, we've seen things come and go, but that building and obviously a lot of the great bars and restaurants in that community have been there for a very long time. And that's the fabric of Northeast and what the community comes to find as a great communal space for both hosting, just a casual meetup or, celebrating with your friends and going out. And it's been such a iconic spot that, we're proud of all of our brands and restaurants we've created, but that one really holds a lot of sentimental value to us as really our first main restaurant after before we really started doing a lot of restaurants. It was back before that, it was more bar focused for our group. So, Stanley's was our first full-blown restaurant.
Texters are reaching out at 651-461-9226. Save Stanley's, says one. Another says they should not be knocking down a heritage restaurant for a stupid street redesign. It is tricky. It is tricky, isn't it? Because if you're really going to effectively redesign that intersection, because you have the truck traffic, because you have a county road going through, and you have that University Lowry, it's tricky to have a good solution that will really solve the problem.
It is, and they're up against, obviously all of those things they're trying to solve for. So we understand that it's not necessarily an easy fix. The one thing we really want to see is that it's being considered by the community, and the community can really weigh in, because up to this point, when we went public last Thursday about the news, we were told that there was neighborhood meetings that were going out and people were aware of it. But really, if we didn't hear any rumblings about it, other than directly from the people that we've been talking from the MNDoT and from Hennepin County and the city, none of our employees had heard about it. Nobody else had really been talking about it. And so we said, you know what, we're going to let the community know what's going on and have a public opinion on it. And ever since we've done that, the support has been overwhelming, and the amount of people that have gone on and filed the survey, which would encourage everybody listening today, if you feel a certain way about it, would really appreciate anybody to go on our Facebook page. We have a link that would be able to fill out a form to say what you'd like to see in that corner. And we know that they've gotten a lot of comments since we've done that. And just, especially if there's any major large construction projects, especially in Minneapolis, we want to have the community have a voice. I didn't think that was being done.
What I worry about, and we're talking with Luke Durheim from Craft and Crew, Stanley's in Northeast, one of a bunch of restaurants that they own. So what I worry about on your behalf is when I'm looking at this design on the MnDOT page, they're wiping out your building, and the document says this design requires that MnDOT acquire a portion of the land at 2500 University. So are they going to knock down your building, only pay you for a portion of the land, and you're stuck with a parking lot for nothing?
So that's kind of a weird thing that we don't really know all the details.
Because it just like
eminent domain attorneys that
right.
If they knock it down, yes, they would be responsible to pay. But the problem with eminent domain and how this process goes from a small business standpoint is that they don't tell you what that would look like until after they made the decision that they're going to go forward, and potentially it could take years to even understand what that value would be. So it's not even really an option at this point for us to even say that we'd even, we're up against, MNDoT they can do whatever they really want to. And
right.
We're at the mercy at this point. So really even talking about financially or how it would affect us long-term is, at this point, it's too premature because we don't really hold those cards.
Right. Right. The deadline for this, you're asking people to share their feedback within the next couple of days by the end of the month, right?
It's super important that people do it. The city council and MNDoT are apparently going to be voting on this as early as April or May, and the project wouldn't kick off until spring of 27. So we're about 2 years away from this project being kicked off, but really the decision is going to be made here within the next 3 months. So it's really important for us to get the word out, and appreciate everybody that's given us support up to this point. Been there for 15 years, and we just love the Northeast community. And just it would be a shame in our eyes if something like this would be wiped off Northeast Minneapolis.
There are, and if you look on the MNDOT web page, there are like 4 options. They talk about turning the intersection into a roundabout, which that would still blast your building. So like a lot of these options involve like wiping out Stanley's. I don't know. To me, like it is heartbreaking. And I also I don't know. I think we all have our thoughts about eminent domain, and it feels like it should be a last resort to me to be going in and taking a private citizen's land. That said, I think we both agree that something needs to be done at that intersection.
It does. And, again, it's not something that's an easy solution, but we want the public to weigh in, and it's just a shame whether you support, I don't think anybody would support taking away business.
No, I hate it. I think we all hate it.
Not, yes. Yeah. And subsequently making sure that when these projects are done, that businesses, if you look back in Uptown over the last 2 years, those businesses have been decimated by the construction. So even if we do survive, we're going to have 2 years of construction woes. So, I mean, it's also something I think as a community we need to be better at, really focusing on how we have these construction projects to not really impact the communities that are being built.
We rip up your neighborhood and say, well, it'll be better when we're done. And you're like, well, good luck. I hope you make it. I mean, if
the people come back.
Yeah, if they come back, because people find other things to do, other places to go. I don't know. It's the whole system. We've seen it up close over the last couple of years with all the all the construction. It's a rip. It's absolutely a rip for the business owner.
It is. It's
and for the neighborhood, where you say all right, what does this do to the fabric of this neighborhood if you're gonna rip some of these businesses out, and then what?
You're correct. It's not ideal.
All right, go to the Stanley's Northeast Barroom Facebook page. That's the best way to get to the link, and you can share your feedback with MNDOT. Luke, keep us updated, and we appreciate it.
We'll do it. Thanks again, Jason, for having us on and being able to talk about this project. Really appreciate it.
Luke Durheim from Craft and Crew. I mean, it's all bad, right? Are you going to... Almost all these designs have Stanley's getting wiped. There's another design. There's one of these that maybe saves him, but then you're wiping out a bunch of other business owners over there. It's tough. Could we just move the trucks off of this road? Seems like that might be doable. DriveTime coming back in just a minute, and we are going to talk about, we've got an athlete of the Twin Cities who is a role model of generosity, and you'll be 0% surprised that we're talking about a woman. We'll talk about that next.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
When is the last time that you had your skin checked out? Not by your significant other. I mean, hey, that's none of my business. None of my business. What is my business is making sure you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your skin. And I want you to go visit my friends at Tureen Dermatology. It's Jason DeRusha here for my dermatologist. Dr. Mohiba Tureen is the bomb. She is awesome. She is so great that she started Tureen Dermatology as one small little dumpy office in Roseville. And now she's got 7 locations and a new spot in Roseville. It's not dumpy. 7 locations. All of these clinics are going to make you feel so welcomed, so safe. They've got personalized care and advanced treatments. I've experienced so many of these treatments because they're committed to giving you the healthy skin you deserve. Whatever your skin type, whatever your skin color, whatever your skin condition. Is it acne? Is it eczema? Are you just trying to keep your skin looking its best? The expert team at Tureen Dermatology is there to hook you up. And they will get you in for an appointment within 3 weeks. Not 3 months, 3 weeks. Online is a great way to do it. You can book online or get connected with their phone number so you can reach out. Go to Tureen, Tareen, TureenDermatology.com.
When you vote for Minnesota's best, Apollo Heating, Air, and Plumbing is definitely at the top of the list. No one knows that more than Holly from Apollo. Holly, what's your number 1 for?
Heating and air, of course.
What else?
Plumbing and customer service and air duct cleaning.
And anything else?
Well, go vote for us. We've been number 1 since day 1.
Visit callapollo.com now and vote for Apollo Heating, Air, and Plumbing for Minnesota's best.
That's callapollo.com.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Something amazing is happening here. Scientists are using AI to study how whales talk to each other. CDW experts can give researchers the power to process complex data with HP workstations, advanced by AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro processors. With easier handling of AI workloads, your organization can bring powerful insights to the surface. Make amazing happen. HP, AMD, and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/HPAMD.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as 1 business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start March 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Just working along Highway 36 westbound as you make way past 35E. The activity off to the right side. Traffic slows as you make way through the area. There are slowdowns on eastbound Highway 36 right now between Cleveland Avenue and Dale Street. If you're up on the north side, 10 westbound slowing at Hanson. West 94 slowing between Hemlock Lane and Weaver Lake Road. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 8 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Gutman Law, wills, trust, and probate law. Gutmanlaw.com. Bring us the forecast. Rain tonight. It's weird out there, isn't it? Like it was snowing. It was 20 below zero last week, and now everything's melting, and it's going to rain. 35 is the low tonight. Tomorrow, 44. I didn't wear a coat. Did you wear a coat today, Cook?
I did, but I didn't wear a stocking hat. So
toughen up.
No, I like my coat. Very nice.
Tomorrow, high of 44. Thursday, 44 again. cooler weekend. We get a little back down to normal this weekend. Right now in downtown Woodbury, 48 on CCO.
Jason DeRusha is back on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, whenever I see a headline that says report, colon, and then a name, and that name is an athlete, I think it's going to be bad. Don't you think? Like, if you see report, Anthony Edwards, you're like, oh no, is he hurt? Report, Kirill Kaprizov. Uh-oh, Putin's calling him back to Russia. Report, Link star Napheesa Collier. What is your first reaction when you see that? You're like, oh no, is Fee leaving? Is she leaving us? Is she going somewhere else? What's happening? Of course, if you know Napheesa Collier, it says report, Link star Napheesa Collier donates prize money to her staff. So I don't know if you guys have watched any of that. Dad, have you watched any of these? The Unrivaled Basketball League?
I have watched some of the games, and I also watched a little bit of the one-on-one tournament, which is where she got this money from.
So they, Unrivaled is the 3-on-3, very fast-paced, exciting, new way for women's basketball players, founded by Napheesa Collier and her husband.
And Brianna Stewart from the Liberty. Yeah.
It's a way they can make some money.
Right. They usually had to go overseas to make money in the off season. And these two gals got together and said, we need to start a league here.
It's like entertaining. It's not the same. You don't need a 15-person team.
It's all in one spot, all in the same arena.
It's like the bubble. Remember the COVID?
Kind of, yeah.
It's sort of like that. So she won Unrivaled's first one-on-one tournament. So she beat Aaliyah Edwards from the Washington Mystics on Valentine's Day. So ESPN reporting, and she won $100,000.
Yeah, not a small amount of money.
Now, Napheesa Collier, like, I don't know what her Link's salary is, but it's not so assertive that $100,000 wouldn't make a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now she has endorsements. So just like me and that Tureen dermatology money that comes in.
Pretty similar. Sure.
The Napheesa Collier. Is she a Nike? Is that what hers is? I don't know who endorses her, but she's got some dough. Still, like, she took all of that money and shared it with the staff and the team that founded the league. So she's splitting it, is what ESPN is reporting. So half of the prize money goes to her training and performance staff and assistant coaches working with her team, the Lunar Owls. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. Like, we've seen a couple of these stories, right? Taylor
Swift is obviously the other big one, sure.
Who gave like a huge chunk of money.
Several $1 million.
Out in bonuses to people. I don't know. Like, I think we can slip into this. All athletes are, self-indulgent jerks, and all artists and celebrities are arrogant. And there are some people, I think, who just appreciate the people who got them and are getting them where they are. And we talk about the bums. So I think it's good to talk. It's good to talk about the good.
There was a story, I think, even last week about profit sharing amongst Minnesota companies. There was another Minnesota company that was shifting to this profit sharing model.
Right.
That's kind of what this is after a point. This is the athletic version of profit sharing.
That's a very good point.
And I think people underestimate how much that motivates even, a token amount. It's something that isn't life-changing types of money. Right. But just the acknowledgement of you're a part of our success and we're going to reward you for it, I think is so huge for workers.
Yeah, in a time where a lot of people are getting emails asking them to justify their job.
Well, there's that. That's the other way to go.
I think it was KLN Brands in Barroom that they were talking about.
Exactly who it was.
But you look at the window, your Anderson Windows, Marvin Windows, all of those guys have been amazing at profit sharing. We're doing profit sharing here at Odyssey too, I think. But unfortunately, that means we have to write a check. It's not good.
Although Barbra Streisand and Frank Sinatra never shared the stage, their musical legacies come together in Barbra and Frank, the concert that never was. starring Sharon Owens and Sebastian Anzaldo. This can't-miss tribute features sensational performances of the powerhouse vocalist's biggest hits, captivating duets, and witty banter. See what could have been become reality at Treasure Island Resort and Casino on Friday, February 28th. Get your tickets at ticasino.com.
Hey, it's Benita. The Good Feet store has made such a huge difference in my life. I went into the Good Feet store and tried their arch support system. I could feel the difference immediately. It helped with some of the foot pain I was having and hip pain. I'm an active person. I like to be on the go. I don't want foot pain stopping me at all. The Good Feet store really does make a difference. I used to have pain in my feet, not anymore. Check out the Good Feet store.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide and Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text LINE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text LINE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text LINE to 200-300. That's LINE to 200-300. LINE to 200-300.
The news you need from the station you trust. News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There were a number of legal defeats today for the Trump administration. One federal judge ordered foreign assistance released. He gave the White House 2 days. Another judge blocked the Office of Management and Budget from freezing federal assistance. Outside the Department of Health and Human Services, workers protested cuts to medical research programs.
Every single one of these jobs lost means a cure that's delayed or a breakthrough that may never happen.
The White House defended the mixed messages to federal workers about reporting their activities. Caroline Leavitt tried to clear up the confusion.
We've had more than 1 million workers who have chosen to participate in this very simple task of, again, sending 5 bullet points to your direct supervisor or manager, CCing OPM.
Allison Keyes reports Republicans are pushing a budget plan, but the cuts are raising concerns.
Mary Beth Cochran stood with Democrats on Capitol Hill and begged lawmakers not to cut programs like Medicaid and food stamps.
Families like mine are counting on Congress to put the needs of our children above the interests of the ultra-rich.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson says voters should support rooting out fraud in programs like Medicaid.
So it doesn't matter what party you're in. You should be for that because it saves your money.
Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Early data suggests the flu vaccine was a poor match for this year's strain. And as Matt Piper reports, it was a flu season that saw record hospitalization rates.
Up to 910,000 hospitalizations are estimated to have been caused by the flu since October. Many of the flu viruses that the CDC has tested this season were well recognized by antibodies targeted to the vaccine. But against the H3N2 strain of influenza, which made up just over half of the influenza A viruses scrutinized by the agency, only about 51% of the samples were well recognized by the antibodies.
The flu season is on track to be the most severe in a decade. Blue Origin's 10th human flight lifted off this morning in West Texas using the new Shepard rocket.
5, 4, command engine start. 2, 1, ignition.
It traveled very briefly to space with a 6-person civilian crew, space consultant Bill Harwood.
It's going to be a long time before these sorts of flights become affordable to the average person. You know, tickets on a new Shepard are thought to go, anywhere from $400,000 on up per ride, and the ride is just 10 minutes long.
Consumer confidence plummeted this month. It was the biggest monthly decline in more than 4 years. Consumer spending accounts for about 2/3 of U.S. economic activity. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy skies right now, 50 degrees at 4:03. Good afternoon. I'm Susie Jones. The hour's top story: a defendant in an upcoming Feeding Our Future fraud trial has been ordered jailed for witness tampering. 30-year-old Abdi Nazar Abshir is being held in jail until his detention and bond revocation hearing, which is scheduled for Friday. He reportedly approached a witness in the trial of Feeding Our Future founder Amy Bach. After that, the judge ordered future defendants in all upcoming cases to stay away from her courtroom. University of Minnesota law professor David Schultz.
Well, given the fact that we've already had problems in the previous round of trials with witness tampering and efforts to bribe a witness, this becomes probably an unfortunate but reasonable act to take at this point.
Abshir's trial is scheduled to start in August. He is accused of running a site that received $5 million of fraudulent federal funds meant to feed children during the pandemic. The Hennepin County Sheriff's Office is looking into a use of force incident involving 2 deputies early in January. WCCO TV shared a video that someone took of the arrest in Minneapolis, showing the deputies striking the man while on the ground. The sheriff says the deputies reported that the man was resisting and that they properly documented their use of force. But some community activists want the deputies fired.
These officers need to be held accountable. We are demanding that the Department of Justice do a full, thorough, independent investigation.
The sheriff again says the incident is being reviewed to determine appropriate next steps, with the video forming part of that review. Minnesota Uber and Lyft drivers are pushing to change a state law that will allow them to form a union. DFL State Senator Zainab Mohammed says it's important that drivers be able to negotiate with rideshare owners.
These companies use misinformation and scare tactics to divide our communities and pit drivers against riders, and we won't let that happen. Giving drivers power over their working conditions does not come at the expense of the communities that rely on this service. The real issue is and has always been corporate greed.
She says the legislation is still being drafted. If passed, though, rideshare drivers would be able to negotiate with all companies for a common contract. Finally, history being made in Minnesota this week as the first Black man in the state was sworn in as a county board member.
Garrison McMurtry was elected to the Ramsey County Board and sworn in yesterday, becoming the first Black man to be elected to a county board in the history of the state.
It's a lot to shoulder, but, it's something that I'm, really appreciative that the people of our district decided to elect me.
He says he didn't even know he'd be making history when he made the decision to run.
This has been a perspective and a lived experience that's been missing from our local county government for too long.
Taylor Rivera, News Talk 830, WCCO.
WCCO News Time is 4:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Car left behind from an earlier crash, West 36, just beyond 35. Use caution through the area. It's off to the right side. Traveling along 694, it's a bit sluggish both directions between 35W and Highway 100. 394 eastbound, jammed up 100 into downtown Minneapolis. 494, you're going to find slowdowns there westbound, run Lindale over to 100. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Time now to check the forecast. Here's WCCO Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
It feels more like the last week of March than the last week of February. So mild, we have rain showers on the way. It will stay all rain tonight, 35 the overnight low, mostly cloudy, 44 tomorrow. It's going to be a bit breezy on Thursday, still a high in the mid-40s, flat out windy on Friday, and notably cooler this weekend.
Thank you so much. Right now we have clouds out there, 50 degrees. That's nice on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Your home for Minnesota news, views, and some good old Midwest common sense. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRusha.
I went to the Justin Timberlake concert last night, and I'm not sure what to think about it. That's where I need your guys' help. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRusha. It's Jason. Susie's got you covered on the news. Dan is here to keep me in check. How do you feel about that description of your role, Dan? Seems about right.
I mean, you don't hear me arguing.
We're glad to have you along as well. We are streaming live on the WCCO Radio YouTube channel. We would love if you would subscribe to WCCO Radio. We promise not to send a bunch of junk out to you in the feed, but if you subscribe, you get a notification of when the show is live. Plus, we'll cut down clips of some of our favorite segments, and you can check that out too. So all for free. Can you believe we give this away?
Just give it away.
Hard to believe. WCCO Radio is the YouTube channel. We're streaming on X and on Facebook as well. Okay, so I'm at the Justin Timberlake concert, and I go with my son, Sam. And Sam is 17, and so he knows a couple Justin Timberlake songs, but mostly like the ones from cartoons, from movies, right? Can't Stop That Feeling, that one. From Trolls, I think. That was a big song from Justin Timberlake, and he performed that. But as both of the music critics in the Twin Cities noted in their reviews of the shows, John Bream in the Minnesota Star Tribune and Ross Rahala in the Pioneer Press, Justin Timberlake was playing a lot of songs that, well, let me just give you a sample of something that I recorded at the XL Energy Center. And can you name that tune? Well, you probably could guess. You could guess the title. There ain't no angels on the dance floor, which, first of all, is just a false song, right? I mean, I have seen angels on the dance floor, for sure. He played 40% of last night's show were songs from a 2024 Justin Timberlake album that no one bought. When you go to a concert of somebody who's been around, say, for 10 years or more, do you expect them to play the hits? Or are you there for the artistic journey? You play what you want. 651-461-9226, because I'll tell you how I felt. I wanted more hits. Sam was cramming for the show. He was studying in advance because he didn't know what these Justin Timberlake songs were. So he's, on Spotify looking for the hits. He was not cramming the 2024 Justin Timberlake dud of an album, Everything I Thought It Was, which maybe was his mistake. I will say that I saw a performance of a song called Infinity Sex, which I'm not going to play for you, but I'd like to share a little bit of the lyrics. Are you ready for this, Dan?
Do I have to hover over the dump button?
I think we're going to be okay.
Okay.
I want to love you for eternity. I just want to love you for a long time. Long time. I don't know you anymore. Soon as all your clothes hit the floor. Pray this hotel room is insured. How many times? I stopped keeping score. But if I had to guess, infinity sex, girl.
Okay.
The future is a mess, but if I had to guess, what like a child wrote this? What is it? And so we're seeing that. I think you should play the hits. I think you should play the hits. Right? Like, don't you want, do you want the new songs? If you're going to see, like, who's on your bucket list, Dan, of somebody that, like, you would love to see?
Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam.
Yep.
All right. So you go to the Pearl Jam show. And do you want the
They better
new-
play alive. If that doesn't happen, I riot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're gonna go see the Foo Fighters and they don't play Everlong, that's it. I mean, I think there's an
Now they all
artist-
play it. They're gonna play the hit, right? For like 40% new.
That's just it. I think there's a certain level you can get to as an artist. Like if Bob Dylan, when he's playing in Mankato, you're not going to see the Bob Dylan show and rioting if he doesn't play all the hits, right? Bob Dylan gets to do whatever Bob Dylan wants to do because he's earned that right, right?
Yeah.
Springsteen, is going to play hits, but
Yeah.
he has the right to do it however he wants to do it. There's a certain level you get to where you have that as an artist, that ability to get away with that. I'm not sure JT is there yet. He's not that far away, but I'm not sure he's there yet.
It is interesting where he was talking about the fact that like the OGs have been with him for 25 years. And so you think Justin Timberlake certainly has enough songs to do where he could do 60%, which is what he did. And some of the hits that he played, you were like, come on, man.
Not the hits you want him to play?
40%.
I get,
that is high. He played the whole, I think he played the whole album.
I get as an artist, it's got to be kind of mind numbing and annoying to play the same stuff over and over and over and over again. I totally understand that. And people are paying, good money to come see you, and you should meet certain expectations, which is, you've got some hits. You got to be playing. That's just part of the bit. This isn't playing at the corner coffee shop where you can do whatever you want. You're filling an arena here with people that have certain expectations.
Ross writes in the Pioneer Press, his latest album flopped so hard it barely registered to anyone beyond his hardcore fan base. And yet he played nearly all of it, with most of the new songs receiving a muted reception for the crowd, which in another first for JT was not sold out. I get it, but like, if you go to a show, is it for you, the artist, or is it for me, the person that's in the crowd?
The person paying the ticket should have a certain amount of priority, right?
That's sort of what I think.
There's a business transaction happening here.
Yeah, I just think now a texter says, I disagree. Whatever with Dan, whatever level they're at, I want to hear mostly the hits. 2 or 3 new songs, okay. Stones, Elton, whoever, they don't care.
I think that's fair. I just we just disagree about it.
The worst part about it, and play another. I think I sent you another clip. All right. So this is the other thing they do at concerts now. Now I don't go to a ton of concerts, so you guys tell me if this is normal. There's a lot of like, you sing this part. And the artist will like sing like 5 words and then just stop. I'm like, I'm an outstanding vocalist. All right. Like, what is this? This is that's as soon as the clothes hit the floor. Yeah, Dan's going to turn that off. You're a no on Infinity Sex?
Yeah, I'm out on that one.
So he's singing these songs. He's like, sing the chorus.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, why don't you sing the chorus?
I hear you. I mean, again, it's a balance, right? Because I think it's important as artists to engage the audience in a certain way.
For sure.
And I know that gives artists a lot of feedback, right? Or that gives them a lot of buzz when the audience is right there with them and singing the song with them. I get that. You can overdo it to a great extent too. And if it's one of the new songs that people don't know as well, that's not a smart move.
All right. Texters have landed on the perfect question. What percent? Put a number. If you go to see an artist, what percent should be hits? 651-461-9226. Give me your number. We'll share some of these texts and take your calls too on Drive Time with DeRush.
Jason DeRusha returns shortly with more of Drive Time on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Have you made plans for October yet for a fall vacation? Would you like to go on a trip with me? Let me ask it this way. Would you like to go on a trip with my wife? Like, that might be more fun. It's Jason here. And I want you to come with me to Greece. We are going to Greece. We're doing it with Colette. Athens is one of my favorite cities of the world. And if you come to Athens with me on Colette, I will put together a guide of the best bars in the world, the best restaurants in the world, the spots to go in Athens. I will curate that for you. Colette takes care of everything else. We're going to Mykonos. We're going to Santorini. Colette is booking your flights. They're moving your luggage around. They got your hotels taken care of, most of the meals too. We get some free time as well. That's where my suggestions come in. It's going to be a great trip. I need you to come with me. WCCOradio.com/Colette is where you can get all of the information on this trip. But trust me, you are not going to want to miss it. So you got to get there and grab your seat. WCCOradio.com/Greece. We leave on October 12th. 3 nights at Athens, 3 nights each on the amazing islands of Mykonos and Santorini. And all I need is you. Get to the website today and let's go to Greece.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
How was your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective. A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
If better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textline.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text LINE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text LINE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text LINE to 200-300. That's LINE to 200-300. LINE to 200-300.
Jason DeRusha.
Someone says, this guy has no idea how cringe he is. And I would just like to say, I'm well aware. I am extremely cringe. I get it. I don't care.
On News Talk 830, WCCO.
Well, they didn't play this one at the Justin Timberlake show last night. Too bad. What percent of a concert should be the hits? It's the question that was running through my mind after last night, 2 hours, 9 to about 11 at XL Energy Center, which, by the way, is an awesome place to watch a concert. The acts, like the sound was so good. The staff was so nice. It was a great experience. Now, it would have been a better experience if it wasn't 40%, 11 songs from some 2024 Justin Timberlake album that nobody bought. Texters. 80% seems common. 80%. Paul in Coon Rapids, 80%. Another texter, 75%. Let's go to Kevin in Anoka, who has more. Kevin, you have a bit of a you've got like a matrix of what percentage, depending on different things, right? Thanks for calling in.
Well, if you're going to see some guy or girl who's reasonably got about 40 minutes worth of good songs, and you know they're going to stretch it out to an hour and a half, then you volunteered to be a victim. If you're going to see a band that's got 24 gold records and can play for 3 hours, then the whole concert's going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. What's the last show you've been to? Last best show that you've been to?
Last show I went to was Rush's 40th anniversary, which was the vast majority of 10 years.
Oh,
that was almost 3 hours.
All hits, because they're all hits, right?
They have 24 gold records.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That song.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. 651-461-9226. 75% hits if you charge more than $100 a ticket, says a texter. Now, a fair number of people, Dan, have said it should be 100% hits. I don't know about that. Like, I think it's all right to mix in some new stuff, right? I think that's all right.
I think it is. I think, again, it depends on the act. I mean, Kevin sort of hinted at it. It depends on what kind of catalog you have, right?
But think about like Prince at the end, right? Like where Prince had an amazing catalog, and a texter saying after a while, even Prince only wanted to play his new music.
Right.
Where you would go to a Prince show and it was all new stuff. And I don't like that they make you wait for the encore for the big hits. Yeah. Like, give me come out with a banger.
It also depends on the venue. Like when Prince was playing at the Dakota, if you went to see Prince at the Dakota and you were expecting, all the hits, you're just sort of missing the point of that kind of show, right?
True.
Now, if he's going to do a big arena show, that's a different deal, right? If he came out and did the Super Bowl halftime show and it wasn't hits, that would have been a problem, right? Part of the reason that his was one of the best wasn't just because it rained during Purple Rain, although that helped.
Yeah.
But he mixed in Foo Fighters, he mixed in Jimi Hendrix, he mixed in other recognizable stuff that just wasn't his, and did it in a brilliant way. And that's just as entertaining to me as hearing his hits.
Do you think it's interesting. So like a texter saying, years ago, we went to an Andy Williams concert on December 20th, and he didn't play a single Christmas song.
That seems odd.
I think
like
at that point,
Andy Williams, yes,
it's fair to rush the stage.
Just bum rush him.
I think you can bum rush him. I'm
sure security's tight at the Andy Williams show.
Went to Todd Rundgren at the Uptown Theater a couple of years ago, says the texter. I'd seen him in 2019 and he played all of his hits. It was a fantastic show. At the Uptown Theater, he played 90% new music, one medley of 3 old songs. So not even 3 complete old hits. And it sucked. I do think it is disappointing. I understand the artist perspective.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think about, and looking at the crowd last night, Sam, my 17-year-old, unfamiliar with Justin.
Yeah, not
Timberlake.
a JT guy.
Next to us were probably 4 young women who I would say were between, I don't know, I can't tell how old anybody is.
I know.
But
that's what happens.
This is how you know you're old.
Yep.
I don't know. These girls could be anywhere between 17 and 28.
Okay.
I have no idea. Sam was
put it this way. How were they singing along with every song?
Yes.
Okay, then they're probably closer to the 28.
But
line
Sam was Sam thought they were high school age. And Sam is a high schooler. My judgment on this area, I don't know. Everybody looks like they're 12 to me now. I don't know, like these days.
There is that. I also think, if an artist is going to do like the Rundgren show, right, where it's 90% new material, that has to be advertised very clearly up front, and certain artists will do that, right?
Fair.
We're doing an acoustic tour, or we're going to do this, we're going to do this album, whatever. If you're honest about that up front, that this is what we're doing, then okay, then they get to do whatever they want. Then it's up to you to buy the ticket or not buy the ticket. But if it's just, Justin Timberlake on tour, I mean, I guess he's touring on an album. And this was like the second to the last leg of this tour, right?
Well, he was supposed to be here in October and had bronchitis.
Right.
And I suppose like my boss, Brad, was also at the show. And Brad said, this is another thing about concerts with huge production values. They're so scripted.
Yeah.
And the internet makes it such that you can watch the entire concert from some other city.
Right. And
So-
pretty much know what you're getting.
So, like, Minnesota fans were disappointed that Justin Timberlake didn't get on top of this big, like, kind of rectangular floating block that was like part of the stage. It was like a video screen, and then it would come down. And then in other cities, he's gotten on top of this thing and sings the closer, mirrors on top of it. And he didn't do that. He didn't do it. And so
another texter points out, and I think this is a great point, you can check the set list from previous shows, to your point, having seen this stuff online and go, well, why is he doing it? But you get a general idea of that percentage of what's going to be.
But you buy these tickets now. I mean, tickets go on sale almost a year before the show.
That's true.
That is true if you're like a last minute buyer. And certainly for this concert, there are opportunities. Oh, a texter saying, we recently went to the Michael Bublé concert. 2.5 hours of really good music, probably not many hits, but when the artist is that high of a caliber, you don't care. I was actually at that concert. Bublé, man, that guy, he's so good. And so, yeah.
And
there,
I'm
not like he's
right.
just he's mostly a cover.
I was going to say, it's mostly the standards. That's kind of his bit.
So you're not like, oh. I mean, Bublé has a couple of major hits.
Sure.
But, yeah.
But he's known as, yeah.
Another texter points out, Jason, what do you expect? The tickets for you were free. I mean, that's not unfair.
Come on.
That's
also not the point. All right?
I'm not mad about it. I'm just.
No, we're pointing out what both of the major reviews in town, both kind of said the same thing.
And it makes you wonder, like, is that a fair thing to rip him about in a review?
Yeah.
Both of the guys were like, yeah, this was kind of lame that he was singing these songs that nobody knows. But which made me at least feel a little validated. If the smart music critics are saying like, yeah, this percentage seemed off.
Absolutely.
We are going to break. It's 4:30, hour 2 of Drive Time with DeRusha. In just a minute, we are going to meet. Oh, this story is so interesting. He's a Twin Cities chef who has just created like his own line of sauces that are in grocery stores and stuff. But he also has done a massive life change that led him to like running marathons and all sorts of stuff. Pretty crazy. Really excited to talk with the chef at NOLO Kitchen in the North Loop. Chef Pete Hoff is joining us a minute here on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha is back after this on News Talk 830 WCCO.
There is a fun video on my Instagram. Just search DeRusha on Instagram with my guys at JH & Son at the Galleria. It's Jason here for the best men's clothing store in the Twin Cities. JH & Son is new to the Metro, but they're not new to Minnesota. 50 years ago, there was a Halberstadt who started a business in St. Cloud serving men, dressing them well. And the Halberstadts grew from St. Cloud now to Sioux Falls. Jeff Halberstadt and JH & Sons has been recognized as the best men's retailer in the country, which is cool, right? But what really makes it special, it's the service. Do you miss that old service when you go into a department store and they really take care of you? They guide you to things that would look good in you. They'll tailor the clothing to fit your body. I got a dress shirt there, and they tailored that. They're like, oh, we can take this thing out in the back, and we can do. I was like, whoa, I've never had a dress shirt tailored before. JH & Sons at the Galleria. You can visit them in Edina. Make sure you sign up for their email list, too. jhandsons.com.
CCO's the one making big noise, watching all the streets gonna get you there on time today. The news that you need via all our feeds, updates and reports on the air and our stream.
Singing, we will inform you. We will inform you.
The latest and most relevant information that'll rock your world. News Talk 830 WCCO.
You're at home. MerrittChev.com. You need a vehicle. MerrittChev.com. Wherever you are, MerrittChev.com. Shop in the comfort of your home on MerrittChev.com, where all their prices are clearly marked for their all new and used vehicles. It's like a virtual test drive. Merritt Chevrolet is the full service real deal with sales, service, body shop, and parts. Just off Century and I-94, or you guessed it, MerrittChev.com. Merritt Chevrolet, the dealership right in your backyard. Together, let's drive. See dealer for details.
Celebrating 30 years of Minnesota-made furniture, delivered direct to you. That's furniture from By the Yard. Explore the largest ever release of new products, fresh wood grain colors, and timeless favorites in the latest collection of maintenance-free outdoor furniture, built to last, backed by a 35-year warranty. Request your catalog today. Start planning your perfect outdoor space before spring arrives. Visit BuyTheYard.net or stop by the showrooms in Woodbury, Maple Grove, or Jordan to get yours. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
Imagine placing an investment or trade without fear. Knowing that big institutions have taken the same trade as you, pushing the price higher, which only they can do. You get to ride the wave of institutional demand. If not, your plan will protect you from the downside. This is how our students are taught to invest in trade. Right now, you can sign up for a free investing class where we'll outline our strategy for following the smart money. Text investing to 210-210. We'll also review strategies for growing a retirement portfolio, how professionals profit when stocks are falling, and how to protect your investments against inflation. With a 25-year history, local classrooms, and one-on-one support, you're not alone. And now it's your turn. Sign up for a free investing class today. Text investing to 210-210 or go to learnwithota.com.
Hey, it's Benita. The Good Feet store has made such a huge difference in my life. I went into the Good Feet store and tried their arch support system. I could feel the difference immediately. It helped with some of the foot pain I was having and hip pain. I'm an active person. I like to be on the go. I don't want foot pain stopping me at all. The Good Feet store really does make a difference. I used to have pain in my feet, not anymore. Check out the Good Feet store.
My quality of life is so different. But one of the first things that I noticed was my breathing. I don't ever remember being able to breathe like that.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Got a crash working on Highway 100 northbound near Minnetonka Boulevard. They are currently blocking the right lane. So we got the 3 lanes of traffic getting by off the left side. We just moved things over now just a couple of minutes ago. So north 100 Minnetonka Boulevard crash, right lane affected. Things are slow as you come up from prior to Excelsior Boulevard. Traveling 494 westbound, that's jammed up. Portland heading out to Highway 100 up on the north side. You're going to find slowdowns in place 610 eastbound, Broadway to 252. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Clogged gutters? Call the pros. Advantage Home Pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Seamless gutter installation, cleaning, and covers. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, let's get you up to date on the weather. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
It's still so mild out there that we have rain in the forecast tonight. Falling back to 35, so there shouldn't be any mixing going on. Mostly cloudy with a high of 44 tomorrow. We'll stay in the mid-40s Thursday, but the wind is going to pick up a bit. That'll make it feel cooler. It will be warm Friday, but a very windy day and a notably cooler day for our Saturday.
Still sunny out there in downtown Minneapolis. It is 47 degrees on CCO.
Let's roll with more of Jason DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRusha, he has the eats.
Nobody brings you the Twin Cities restaurant scene like our favorite foodie. Now, Jason explores some of the great chefs, owners, and stories right in our own backyard as DriveTime transitions into DeRusha Eats.
DeRusha Eats is brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board and our friends at Surdix. And today, our focus is a local chef who helped open a restaurant, extremely popular restaurant in the North Loop. But there is one ingredient in a number of his dishes that was so popular, he's now founded a line of sauces to just sell that sauce. Our guest is Chef Peter Hoff, founder of Seven Bridges Sauces and co-partner of NOLO Kitchen in the North Loop. Pete, it's good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
What's it like to see your yum yum sauce out in the wild?
It's crazy to be able to roll into grocery stores and actually see the product on the shelf, something that started off, at the restaurant with, on one dish, and then watching people put it on, 2/3 everything else on the menu, and really hustling us to figure out how to get it into the grocery store. So to see it, kind of go from there to being on the shelves at the stores where, my neighborhood grocery store is really cool to see that happen.
What is it? What is Yum Yums?
So ours is a little different than kind of the normal hibachi, sweet pink stuff that's out there. More focused on ginger, garlic, and kind of some of those flavors. Really goes well kind of with a number of things as we've brought this product to market. Didn't want it to be a one-trick pony, so started playing around with it more in the kitchen. And as more people started using it, they started, kind of sharing the different ways that they did it. So everything from marinating like chicken and fish with it to, we do a smoked salmon salad at the restaurant, kind of with everything bagel sort of flavor. So kind of gets in wherever mayonnaise would fit in.
It's got like the mayonnaise sort of
nice creamy
right?
consistency. Yeah.
It is. It's got to be amazing when you're a chef and you create like this whole menu, and then people go nuts over this dumb sauce that you put on a
There's
breakfast bowl.
so much.
They're like, what is happening?
The things that you stress over, you work in a dish you make 20 times, and then there's some stuff that just kind of falls into place, and you can get frustrated over it, or you're just like, yeah, well, that's life. Sometimes you get an easy home run. Sometimes you gotta work for it.
It is fascinating because I've talked to so many Twin Cities chefs who are wonderful, amazing chefs. And I think of like Vincent Francois, who's probably the premier French chef in over the last 20 years in Minnesota. And Vincent is famous for a burger. And it's like, that could either drive you crazy or you just say like, hey, it's good to be famous for something.
Right. Like, and if that's what people want, and I've worked 25 plus years in the restaurant industry. This is all I've really done. And I've worked kind of a lot of the different facets from fine dining to flipping eggs, and really like it all kind of translates of it's sort of the same thing in the same spot. And you can either get worked up over, I want people to eat this, or they're going to eat what they want to eat.
You grew up in Duluth.
Correct.
And then what was your journey to the kitchen?
I started washing dishes at a Red Lobster in Canal Park, and I fell in love with all the extracurricular stuff. Absolutely, that too. Right, eat yourself sick on them.
Right.
But as a kid, running around, getting into trouble, and loved all the restaurant stuff of it, and being able to have some autonomy as a person. And then, graduated high school, needed to have a real sort of career path, and went to culinary school. And that's when things sort of took off and really fell in love with, the restaurant world.
NOLO in the North Loop has just, it's sort of amazing to see how jammed that place is and how much it's become really like a part of the neighborhood.
We couldn't have imagined, Marty Collins, Brett Johnson, my two partners, those are both longtime hospitality guys. And the three of us came together on this project, and it was like, the address in the neighborhood, you got to go out of your way to make it not work there. But I think
even in 2017, it was getting hot at that time.
It was still kind of up and coming. And, it was the neighborhood. There was a lot of construction and stuff going on. And so kind of the signs were there that it was going to continue to grow. But I think what we got really lucky on is the hospitality brand that we were able to bring to that neighborhood. And the staff that we have working at the restaurant really is, something that I don't think if we can stick it in a bottle and be able to recreate it. One of our goals was to become kind of the third place in people's life in between work and home.
Yeah.
And I think we killed it on that. So
your place has always been interesting to me because you have like this terrific breakfast, lunch, crowd, to great dinner, and then all of a sudden it becomes like a party place.
Yeah, that neighborhood right? So it starts
The
at
kids come out
4:00 on Friday, and
Yeah.
it usually winds down sometime around 4:00 on Sunday. But, you know, and we have the basement bar beneath NOLO's, so that's full nightclub Thursday through Saturday. So it definitely has that younger crowd that draws, and then NOLO's are, you know, our main floor, breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. And then this past summer, we built out our rooftop. And so now seasonally we'll have, you know, our lounges and a bar up there and serving food as well. So it's a lot of action on, you know, one address.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you, you know, I've noticed like sports bars opening up. You got a new sports bar as a neighbor there with lines out the door for
Yeah.
the rabbit hole.
Right.
What is, you know, is there a point where the North Loop where you say like, I don't know, man, like, I don't know if we can handle another hotspot. There's nowhere to park, all of those kind of
You know,
challenges.
parking is it's a dirty game in that neighborhood.
It's tough.
But
It's hand-to-hand combat to
I
get
kinda
that
think,
spot.
you know, it's a bit of a rising tide
Yeah.
sort of thing. There's plenty of people. It's not like we're fighting for, you know, customers. So I love it. The more people, the more draw it is to have people in the neighborhood. Not everybody knows about NOLO's. You know, as I hang out in grocery stores on the weekend and talk to a lot of people about sauce, you know, definitely bringing up NOLO's, and there's a lot of people that it's news to them. So
Isn't that amazing? Like restaurants that have been, you've been around for 7 years, 8 years.
yeah, coming up on.
And yeah, of course, like well, people don't know everything.
Well,
And if you're not in that neighborhood, how would you know?
Right. You
Or-
know, it's a lot of people. I'm A to B, home to work, and you travel your normal routes. And if
Right.
you're not coming into the North Loop or downtown, you know, it might not be something that pops up on your radar. Or if you're also not into the food scene and keeping up on, you know, tabs on stuff like that.
Peter Hoff is the chef behind Seven Bridges Sauces. So I've always wondered this, like so many of our listeners maybe make a sauce that's delicious, a barbecue sauce that their neighbors love, or a hot sauce or whatever. How hard is it to get into a grocery store?
It's difficult. It's difficult.
How do you do it? Like, how do you even start that process?
So what kind of gave me the confidence to even start this little adventure was, you know, I had sort of an in the grocery world. We have a friend of the family of NOLO's that has Livia's seasoning salt, which we use everywhere, all over. Like anything that hits
Delicious.
the grill at NOLO's, definitely gets that on it. So having someone
It's just like a salt, pepper,
yep, kosher salt,
like-
black pepper, garlic, but the
It's
pepper
so-
in it is
yes.
very floral.
Yep.
But you know, having someone that had an in and saying, you know, this is kind of how
So
the
they
machine
did it
works.
before.
But you're still forging sort of new ground. So it's a lot of, you know, I've been told like thick skin, short memory, keep trying. Thankfully, I'm very confident in the product from, you know, we've had overwhelmingly positive response from people at the restaurant, people out in the wild.
so that
knowing
helps.
that it's going to happen. And thankfully we've got placement here.
Who let you in first?
So, geez, I think the first was the Maple Grove Hy-Vee. I got in at the seafood counter there. And then Brookie's Fish Market in St. Louis Park is, you know, awesome local little fish market.
So
if you
great.
haven't seen it, got to go check it out. And then getting in, you know, with a real-time distributor and getting at Kowalski's, Von Hansen's, Jerry's, you know, all those groups.
So now you're
there's-
cooking.
Now it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I've got placement. You know, there's somewhere within driving distance everywhere in the Twin Cities, and that definitely there's these varying stages of like being able to exhale a little bit more.
Yes.
So now we're at the spot like,
Because you're sort of making it, and you're like, I
Yeah.
gotta get this.
I got it. You know, you got to buy a bunch of it at once, like, you know, 8 pallets or 20,000 pounds
Yeah.
of stuff. So then
You're
there's
not
a day,
making this one bottle at a time.
yeah,
in your
there's a
kitchen.
day you get a delivery and you're like, all right, well, now what?
So interesting. Seven Bridges. There'll be more sauces after this one,
Yep,
right?
definitely have some stuff, you know,
What's
in
next?
the works.
What's the next one?
You know, I have this really good sort of green garlic
Ooh.
dressing. You know, it's one thing that's been helpful with the Yum Yum sauce, you know, to get into these grocery stores. Coming up with a hot sauce or a barbecue sauce, that's a tough road. There's
Oh my God.
a million of them.
You know what? If you
and-
people think you have a hot sauce that's worth bringing to market, don't. There are so many. I go to the grocery store now. You look at the hot sauce aisle.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's-
do you have any Dijon mustard? Like,
It's
what are we doing?
wild, you know, and I've
So many hot sauces.
Yeah. barbecue sauce as well. A ton of them out there.
Oh,
so
the barbecue sauce.
that was, you know,
what are people doing with all of this?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, that's
Drives me nuts.
that's a whole nother conversation. Is, you know, hang out in a grocery store and look at what people have in their shopping baskets. It is
Interesting.
a sociological experiment.
All right. I was told that you have started sort of an effort. You know, when you work at a restaurant, it's tough to stay healthy, but you've gotten into ultra marathons. Is this true?
Yeah, I did about 5 years ago.
Well, how many marathon? What is an ultra marathon?
So I guess technically it's anything over 26.2.
You're
I've done,
you're a
you know,
lunatic. That is
a
madness.
couple of 100-milers,
100
couple
mile,
of
like
50-milers,
in one run.
There's a lot of walking. It's mostly walking. it's kind of walking from snack station to snack station. So.
I did a 50-mile bike ride once, and I thought I had to call the ambulance after that.
Yeah, you know, you get a lot of time to think and, you know, have some self-reflection. And I spent a lot of time thinking about food, menus, work, stuff, you know, so you get a lot of time to sort of be by yourself, digest, you know, kind of your thoughts. And so I actually think that's helped out a ton at work. You know, we manage people, we manage a lot of personalities and things, and having time to think about some things before you necessarily dive into them, I think's definitely been a positive for me.
All right, we're going to pause. Chef Peter Hoff is going to join us in just a minute. Stay right here, because I want to know from you and from our listeners, based on a conversation you and I had a minute ago, what is the ideal bedtime? Because I am currently running on fumes. What is the ideal bedtime for you, a busy father? Don't say yet. Busy father, busy restaurateur. You can text into it, 651-461-9226.
We need a quick pit stop. Then Jason DeRusha continues on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right. NOLO Kitchen in the North Loop. Pork. You have any pork on your menu?
Yeah, we do right now we got pork belly, sort of al pastor taco. So we do a red chili and pineapple marinade on some roasted pork belly and tortillas, some pineapple.
So that's
salsa on top.
part of the fun of pork. And it's Jason here for the Minnesota Pork Board, nice enough to bring us DeRusha Eats. When you take pork, it's lean, it's packed with protein. That's awesome. But it also can be a vessel for so many different flavors, right?
Oh, totally. You know, it's kind of one of those things like an egg, like you can treat it so many different ways and wind up with so much different stuff. Kind of one of my go-tos is like find pork shoulder on sale and get like 4 of them and smoke it or roast it and pack your freezer.
Yes.
Right?
I have
3/4
of a pork shoulder, which is, I think that's like a pork rotator. That's about it. What I have in my freezer right now, because it's so easy to do over the weekend and then apply. Do you like Asian flavors? Do you like Mexican flavors? Do you just like salt and pepper? Do you want to use some of this yum yum sauce? That would go great with some Minnesota pork. The other thing to know about Minnesota pork is it's really, you think about the product, it's the people behind it. 3,000 family farmers, every corner of this state, working so hard to take care of their animals and take care of the land. So feel good. Get some yum yum sauce. Get yourself some Minnesota pork and have yourself a delicious dinner. Oh, yeah.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like asterisk-free checking, an account that's filled with features, but no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. Because it's your money, right? So we think you should keep it. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Hey, Twin Cities, is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney.
Many listeners have asked me what CBD products I use, and I am so happy to be able to share them with you on the radio. Jordana Green here. I really want to destigmatize CBD and reveal compelling health benefits that I've experienced. I use Mini-Leaf. Check out minileaf.com, MINNELEAF.com. I use these products. I would not recommend them to you if I didn't. Mark has used them. We have both experienced the benefits from the Triple Diamond Pain Cream. It's such relief. And also those sleep night gummies, the best night's sleep I have had in a while. No pharmaceuticals needed. Check out the true benefits of CBD. You can see they're 100% natural Mini-Leafs products, and you can look at the studies on the website. Minnieleaf.com. MINNELEAF. Tell them Jordana sent you.
Mini Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minnieleaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has greenlighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-918-3538. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-918-3538. 800-918-3538. That's 800-918-3538.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
North 100 Minnetonka Boulevard crash has been taken care of. So with slowdowns in place. So coming up from 50th, so give yourself another 8 to 10 minutes on the ride. 10 westbound slowing between Egret and Hanson. 35W northbound watching slowdowns out of Minneapolis heading up toward Johnson Street. If you're going to be traveling 36 eastbound, that's heavy. 280 heading out to Lexington. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
All right, it's going to rain tonight. Low is 35. Yes, rain. Maybe we're done with snow. Ha! You know that's not true. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, high of 44. Same deal on Thursday, a little bit more breezy on Thursday, windy and warm on Friday. And then we get back. Oh, sadly, we are going back to normal around the low 30s over the weekend. Right now in Minneapolis, 47 on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
Sometimes I feel like a completely different species than everybody who thinks that that might be fun.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Chef Peter Hoff is our guest. DeRusha Eats, brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board and Surdix. Got their anniversary sale at Surdix tomorrow. Seven Bridges is the name of the sauce, the Yum Yum sauce, made famous at NOLO Kitchen and Bar in the North Loop. Is now available at Kowalski's and Hy-Vee and all sorts of retailers. You can go to sevenbridgessauces.com to check that out. Peter, ideal bedtime for you?
Man, if I had my choice, I'd be horizontal by 9.
9?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. So I spent a long time waking up at 2:30 in the morning, sort of baker's hours to go anchor the morning news at Channel 4. Not ideal. Back in those days, bedtime was like, well, ideal would have been 6.
Yeah.
Now for me, I would say 11. 11 is my ideal bedtime. Hard to do when you're out covering restaurants.
Yeah,
Hard
man,
to do when you
you're
work
a man
in
of the
restaurants.
town.
I try. Well, you too. Like you're at the point now where you don't have to be at the restaurant all night, right?
Yes. Thankfully, we have.
You have a team.
Yes, a team of pros that make that place hum.
3 restaurants that you would recommend and give a shout out to.
Oh boy. Boucheron in Minneapolis. Best meal I've had probably in the last 18 months.
All right.
You know, the Hilltop in Edina is always never had a bad experience there.
You live in Victoria, right?
I live in Victoria.
Anything good out there?
Patron Mexican, downtown Chaska.
Oh.
Appears to be a little family-owned joint because I see the same 9 people working every time I've ever been in there. Awesome little
I
spot.
love those restaurants. We have
Yeah.
in Maple Grove, we have a place called El Rodeo that it's sort of the same deal. Family owned. It's the best.
Yeah, love it. So I think you got to have kind of your go-to spot like that.
I just turned 50. Am I too old for the basement bar at NOLO? I'm not divorced.
Well, no, it depends on how you feel.
I mean, the not divorced is a key component there. The North Loop does have a crazy sort of age span, doesn't it?
It does. You see all walks of life at all times a day.
Yeah. It's pretty fun though. You've enjoyed it?
It's been awesome. Yeah. Some of the people in like the community that we've had in that neighborhood that show up at the restaurant 4 or 5 days a week. You know, we have a steady crew that office from the bar, and you know, that's really kind of affirming that, like, man, I think we're doing something right.
The sauce is called Seven Bridges. That's the brand. Yum Yum sauce from NOLO. Look for it in the grocery stores and go visit when the rooftop opens up pretty soon, right? The spring. Here we go.
We were talking this afternoon, like, man, next time it's 50, we might just have to throw the doors up and
gotta do it. Pete, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
DeRusH Hour news headlines coming up after local news here on CCO.
If only there was an easy guide to follow to sell your home for thousands of dollars more than you otherwise could. Oh, wait, there is. Hey, it's Vanita. You've been hearing me talk about my buddy, the Good Neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Those home sellers forums that I've told you about that really work. Scott and Renee went to one and followed John's blueprint for success. There are 5 different marketing options for you to choose from, and all of them work. Scott and Renee really benefited from them. Their home sold for more than $10,000 over the asking price. Trusting the John Schuster Group was the right decision for them. He knows what he's doing. His team, they know what they're doing. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000. Online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Attention small business owners needing financing. Swish Funding is providing funds for expansion, inventory, increased overhead, even slow cash flow to small businesses all over America with affordable funding as soon as one business day. And we're ready to help with funding from $10,000 to $2 million. If you've been in business for 1 year or more with a monthly income of at least $25,000, you can get the affordable funding you need with no collateral. Go to swishfunding.com today. That's swishfunding.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing.
The Frequency, AM 830 and 1029 HD2. The call letters, WCCO. The station, News Talk 830 WCCO. Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. The U.S. and Ukraine have agreed to a framework agreement on Ukraine's minerals. President Trump was asked what Kyiv gets out of the deal.
The right to fight on.
Stacey Lynn reports the Ukrainian president may be heading to Washington.
I hear that he's coming on Friday. Certainly, it's okay with me if he'd like to.
The deal will allow the U.S. to tap into Ukraine's mineral wealth, bringing in billions of dollars to help recoup the money the United States has spent to support Ukraine in the war with Russia.
He would like to sign it together with me, and I understand that's a big deal, a very big deal.
The White House today again defended the email to federal workers urging them to list their job activities. Despite conflicting guidance from different agencies, spokeswoman Caroline Levitt.
This is to ensure that federal workers are not ripping off American taxpayers, that they are showing up to the office, and that they are doing their job.
More than 20 civil service employees of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency resigned today, saying they would not be involved in dismantling public services. The Trump administration suffered some legal setbacks today. One judge blocked his efforts to halt the nation's refugee admissions program. Another ordered foreign assistance freed up within 2 days. And another judge ordered federal assistance be released. On Capitol Hill, negotiations have continued all day on a Republican budget that calls for steep cuts. Correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns has been following.
So we'll see tonight whether this vote happens at all. This is the first real test for Congress. If you've been wondering where Congress has been for the past several weeks of the Trump administration as the president issues executive order after executive order, well, here is where Congress fits into all of this. The president wants big priorities, immigration, tax cuts extended, a lot of other items. Those have to actually be funded by Congress.
In Rome, the Vatican provided an update on the Pope's condition. Seth Doan reports.
Pope Francis remains in critical condition but is stable and has not had any other acute respiratory crises. In the evening, the Pope had a scheduled CAT scan to monitor his pneumonia in both lungs, and doctors are still not giving a prognosis.
Consumer confidence plummeted this month. It was the biggest monthly decline in more than 4 years. Kelly O'Grady with Money Watch.
Consumers aren't feeling great about where the economy is going. Particularly, they think inflation is going to be 6%. We're at 3% right now, 6% in a year.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials finished 159 points higher. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Partly cloudy skies right now. The temperature 49 degrees at 5:03. I'm Susie Jones. Some community activists are calling for the termination of 2 Hennepin County deputies after videos surfaced showing them punching a man while trying to make an arrest. WCCO TV shared the video of the incident that took place January 9th in South Minneapolis. The sheriff's office says the deputies did report the man was resisting and they properly documented their use of force. Here's a clip of that video.
Get your hand. Get the hand back. You're not doing it.
The sheriff says they'll be conducting a review to determine appropriate next steps. But some activists, again, telling WCCO TV they want more done.
This excessive force and this excessive use, this illegal, unlawful use that we continue to see, even that took place with George Floyd, we will not tolerate it within our community no more.
Defendant in an upcoming Feeding Our Future fraud trial has been ordered jailed for witness tampering.
30-year-old Abdinasir Abshir has a detention and bond revocation hearing scheduled for Friday. It was last week when Abshir reportedly approached a witness in the trial of Feeding Our Future founder Amy Bach. The judge then ordered defendants in all upcoming Feeding Our Future cases to stay away from her courtroom. Abshir's trial is scheduled to start in August. He's accused of running a site that received $5 million of fraudulent federal funds meant to feed children during the COVID pandemic. Steve Simpson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Rideshare drivers joining legislative leaders in St. Paul to tout a plan that would allow the workers to form their own union. This comes a year after lawmakers approved driver minimum payments, which help keep Uber and Lyft in the state. State Senator Zaina Mohammed says the plan is still a work in progress.
This bill is currently being drafted now. You won't see a language just yet. And we expect it to be introduced, hopefully, this session. And we're hoping to get committee hearings. We hope that legislators will listen to the stories of what drivers have been saying over the last few years as they have been coming to the legislature.
If the proposal is adopted, rideshare drivers would be able to negotiate with all companies for a common contract. Finally, WCCO Radio's Mark Fry is looking into racial covenants this week as part of a 3-part series. Today, he reports on Falcon Heights, where nearly half of the homes have the racist wording in their property deeds.
Although no longer enforceable, the racial covenants are a reminder of past efforts to keep Falcon Heights neighborhoods predominantly white. City Administrator Jack Linehan.
When you look at the raw data from Mapping Prejudice, they estimate roughly 600 properties in Falcon Heights have a racial covenant.
Work to identify those covenants started after the 2016 killing of Philando Castile. City Council member Paula Milkey says Falcon Heights is a close-knit community where residents take pride in the fact homes have often stayed in one family.
But it also just shows how we kept Black people out.
Falcon Heights is among the 29 cities who have joined the Just Eats coalition, which has been helping property owners discharge covenants.
People who have initiated and are eager to do it and are responsive, it's a delay.
Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Express North 100 Minnetonka Boulevard has been taken care of. Still some slowing those. Midway past Excelsior Boulevard. North 169, watching the heavy stuff there as you come up from Bren Road toward Highway 55. Traveling 610 eastbound, that's going to be slowish as you make way between Broadway and 252. On the south side, 169 southbound, some heavy stuff, 494 Pioneer Trail. Terry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
In its centennial year, the DAV of Minnesota remains dedicated to helping thousands of veterans access the benefits they've earned. And you can make a difference. Volunteer to transport veterans, advocate for improved programs, or donate today at davmn.org.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And the forecast brought to you by the DAV of Minnesota. Here is WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer with the forecast.
It feels more like the last week of March than the last week of February. So mild, we have rain showers on the way. It will stay all rain tonight, 35 the overnight low, mostly cloudy, 44 tomorrow. It's going to be a bit breezy on Thursday, still a high in the mid-40s, flat out windy on Friday, and notably cooler this weekend.
Thank you, Chris. Right now, partly cloudy, 49 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Engage your mind, not just your ears. Listen, think, react with News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie, just DeRusha. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool, brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRusha.
It is Friday. It's not Friday. I wish it were Friday. Are you ready for Friday, Cook? No? It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday, man. You got to ease into the week.
I don't know. Last week we're in Florida the whole time. You're like, we're living the dream. Now we're just here, you know? It's all right. I don't know. I'm a little tired. I mentioned I've had 2 late nights. I hope the show doesn't sound tired. Just I can't tell what day it is. Is that my number one mistake I make on the show? I feel like where I get like wound up and I announce the wrong day. What is my number one mistake? Cook, so many options.
It's a significant list.
You know what? You were getting ready to rip on me, and you didn't even have the microphone on.
I know. So there's mine.
So, just such sweet vindication by me.
I mean, when you tee it up like that.
If you're watching on the stream on YouTube, the WCCO radio channel, which we'd love if you check us out and subscribe. We're on X on my account, and we're also on Facebook. But you could see on Dan's face, like the joy that he was getting the opportunity to say how dumb I am. Didn't have his microphone on. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
All right. How about we do the lead?
Now, time to get you caught up on some of the biggest stories of the day. These are the DeRush Hour headlines.
Good evening. Our top story.
This just in.
Our top story.
We begin tonight with.
We begin tonight.
We begin tonight. We begin tonight.
We begin with the lead.
And the first story in the lead is the fraud trial that has been drama after drama after drama. News now that the person who went up to a witness in the hallway and tried to mess with the witness or intimidate the witness or whatever, this person is arrested and in federal custody until a hearing on Friday. Let's go to KARE 11's Lou Raguse, who has been covering the trial, to get the latest on this and some of the other developments in the trial. Lou, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
All right. So what is the deal? Do we know exactly what the tampering was of this witness?
Yeah, because the witness did end up testifying the next day, and they asked him about it. So he testified about it.
And so what was it? What happened?
Well, here's kind of the inside scoop, the way it played out in front of me, because I happened to be at the end of the hallway outside the courtroom recording my voice track for my KARE 11 story for that night.
Geez.
And all of a sudden, Matt Sepik, NPR News reporter, ran out there and said, "Lou, did you see what just happened?" And I apparently I missed it. But this witness who was waiting to testify, he's a guilty feeding our future fraudster who's going to testify against the 2 people on trial right now. He's waiting in the hallway, and this other guy, who's also charged in the case but has his trial coming up in August, he approaches him and tries to get him to come into the bathroom. He said, I need to talk to you. Let's go to the bathroom. And he tried pulling him into the bathroom, and the guy said, no, get away from me. And the guy was there with his lawyer. So the witness told his lawyer what had happened. His lawyer is Ryan Pasiga. So they brought it to the court's attention right away.
I mean, Ryan's a great attorney. Like, like what is, I mean, obviously trying to intimidate a witness coming on the heels of the fact that we had a trial before where somebody went to intimidate a juror and like went to drop like a bag of money at this juror's house. Like, I guess what is going on here?
Well, so, it gets confusing because of all the names that are involved. So I'm not going to drop too many names on you, but this guy here who is accused of tampering with a witness, his name is Abdi Nasir Abshir. Okay. So Abdi Nasir, he's on trial in August, but he's connected to this Amy Bach case. Amy Bach is the executive director who's on trial right now. So the portion of testimony that was going on was related to this guy, Abdi Nasir, because he ran a meal site in Mankato that was allegedly fraudulent. And it was a weird coincidence that he would show up and start watching the trial right when they were talking about his fraudulent meal site. So the prosecutor thinks that the other co-defendant with Amy Bach called him or somehow contacted him to let him know, hey, they're going to start talking about your stuff right after lunch if you want to be here. So this guy, he showed up right after lunch with his brother, who's also charged, and they were really noisy and clumsy coming into the courtroom, and they went way to the left and sat down right in front of the jury, which is odd because that day there were plenty of open seats, and any normal person would come in, probably go towards the back, which is what most people do when they walk in the middle of stuff, and toward the aisle, so you're not causing too much commotion. But these guys went straight over and sat by the jury, which was odd, and it made the prosecutor think that they were trying to intimidate the jury. And then, sure enough, shortly after that, they got out and left, and that's when the exchange in the hallway took place. So the prosecutor believes that he was trying to possibly intimidate the jury, but at the very least, influence this other witness's testimony.
Lou Raguse is with KARE 11. Lou, you filed a story today about some of the testimony in this Amy Bach trial. And part of the challenge in convicting Amy Bach has been the fact that there's all of this fraud. And this, of course, people remember is the COVID era fraud case where people have already pled guilty or been convicted in many cases of charging the federal government through the administrator, which was Minnesota was sort of administering this program, but it was federal money, but charging for meals that were never delivered. And when you look at some of the data, you think like how on earth it wasn't even possible to deliver the number of meals that they were claiming were delivered. But there is a ringleader to this, Amy Bach, and she is the one on trial here. But the fraud, getting the fraud directly to her. Lou, you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's
yep,
all good.
I'm here.
Linking it to Amy Bach has been the question, and here today we did have some testimony that at least allegedly links it to her, right?
Right. It was a damning testimony against Amy Bach today. The way that I characterize this to people is a lot of times in cases like this, the hardest person to convict is the person at the top. Like it's easier to convict a drug dealer on the street than it is the drug kingpin that things flow up to.
Sure. Because they keep it at arm's length, so it's never hard to trace back. Yeah.
And then to add to that, Amy Bach, by all accounts, did not profit nearly as much from the fraud as countless other people did. So they didn't like seize bank accounts with millions of dollars of money. She didn't buy houses or fancy cars. So the money profit is not nearly as high. Most of the fraud was at arm's length from her. So witnesses like today are very important if they want to convict her. And what this woman today testified is that this woman was trying to turn in a $3 million fake invoice, and Amy Bach scheduled a meeting with her, sat her down, made her leave her recording devices in the car, sat her down and said, I'm only going to process this claim if you bring me half of this money, $1.5 million in cash. So it's one person's word. There's no corroborating evidence to that, but still, it was pretty damning testimony today for Amy Bach in court.
Lou Raguse, great stuff. We'll watch your reports on KARE 11, and thank you for joining us here on CCO.
You're welcome. Have a good rest of your day.
Time for story 2 in the lead, and there is a new guy trying to revitalize downtown St. Paul. His name is Dave Higgins, and he is overseeing this nonprofit that the Downtown Alliance is trying to kind of bring some life. It's a tough challenge. He will be running the St. Paul Downtown Development Corporation. So his job is to help fill thousands of square feet of empty real estate. And you think, my gosh, who wants to come and fill these offices in downtown St. Paul? Here's what Dave had to say on with Jordana and Adam earlier today.
The thing that is a primary driver in the turnaround of most downtowns is population. And so we anticipate residential being a substantial driver in this turnaround. So I think the type of housing remains to be seen, but more housing is definitely a priority.
Pretty interesting, right? Lots of buildings, and already some of these office to apartment conversions are underway in St. Paul. Soon the same developer, Sherman, who did a building right across from us here at CCO, a redevelopment, Groove Lofts, will be launching the Landmark Towers in St. Paul. But people aren't coming back to work downtown, so figuring out which of those buildings are best to convert, and then maybe which buildings you need to demolish. Everything's on the table, says the new guy, Dave Higgins. Let's go to story number 3. And it is a celebration with Chi-Chi's. Chi-Chi's is coming back, and today we first learned about how Chi-Chi's plans on getting it done, and it starts right here in Minnesota. It starts with the son of the founder of the original Chi-Chi's, Michael McDermott, who is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. Michael, it's good to visit with you.
Jason, good to talk to you.
Chi-Chi's, the news today is that the 2 Rojo Mexican grills that you own and operate in St. Louis Park and in Maple Grove will be the first 2 to become Chi-Chi's. That's happening this year. Tell us why you're bringing Chi-Chi's back.
I didn't even think about bringing it back until this summer. And I was thinking about a concept to replace Rojo with, because we've been there 14 years and we've had an amazing run. But like most restaurants, they run their course. I didn't want to wait until we were at that point. And I was just literally doing like my morning meditation, and the thought came in my head, maybe I should do Chi-Chi's. and I approached my dad about it, and my Uncle Jack, and my Uncle Jack was the original vice president of Chi-Chi's, and they both thought it was a great idea. The only thing they didn't like is that they didn't come up with it. But outside of that, they just thought it was just a great opportunity. And so then I met with Hormel and worked out the licensing, and then we took it from there.
Because Hormel had the name, right? Because they had like a line of Chi-Chi's kind of frozen food in the grocery store.
Well, so
or the salsa, or what did they own?
Yeah, they got the rights to distribute Chi-Chi's related products in the grocery stores in 1983.
Got it.
And they've grown that business. I mean, it's all over the country now in grocery stores. So it's actually a pretty big business for them. And when Chi-Chi's finally closed their last 65 stores in 2004, they got the rights to the full entire trademark. So I had to approach them to be able to use the trademark.
Have you been surprised when this was first announced that you were going to do this? Have you been surprised at the reaction to this?
Totally blown away. I mean, literally, it's surreal. I when we did the press release in the beginning of December, I knew it would be picked up locally and with the trade publications in our industry, in the restaurant industry, but I never expected I think we had over 600 articles written. Every major news organization picked it up. They went viral on social media. And the comments were amazing. People, it was so fun to read what people missed about Chi-Chi's, or that was their first experience with Mexican food, or that's where I met my husband, or, so it's just been a lot of fun. And that's what really kind of spearheaded, the initiative to change our direction with the financing and bring everyone into it.
Obviously, you can't go back to the same menu that was in Chi-Chi's from like 1976 to 1999. At that time, I don't know that people were very familiar with Mexican food. I think today Mexican flavors are much more widely known and widely available. So how are you going to do it?
Well, so we've got my dad, he's got all the original recipes on yellow legal notepad. And I did have problems interpreting, like his handwriting is not necessarily the best. So I had to call him and ask him, on certain recipes what the words were. But we've got all the original recipes. And so what we plan on doing is, and a lot of this comes to you from the comments that I see and the articles that have been written, what people miss, what they like. And so we're going to incorporate a lot of the signature dishes that people gravitated towards, especially during the Chi-Chi's heyday.
Sure.
And then, we've had a lot of great success with a number of the dishes at Rojo. And then there's some dishes that Chi-Chi's didn't have and Rojo doesn't currently have, such as birria tacos, and we'll be adding those as well. So we're bringing the concept forward, but we still want to make sure we respect what was done with Chi-Chi's and also just the customers. We want to make sure that, we when people come in that used to go to Chi-Chi's, they find, it may not be exactly like Chi-Chi's used to be, but there's going to be something that
vibe. They'll reconnect. Rojo will go away. So St. Louis Park this summer and Maple Grove in the fall, and then Rojo is done, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you have those locations, you have that staff, which will probably be helpful to get things started. And then you try to franchise around the country. Is that the goal?
Yeah, the goal, we've already had some interest from different people around the country that would be interested in speaking to us about franchising.
Yeah.
So, and then my Uncle Jack is on my advisory board, and he owns, he is the chairman and the co-CEO of Marco's Pizza, which is over 1,000 units.
So you have the expertise.
Across the country.
Yeah.
So I've got people and I've been a franchisee and a franchisor for other concepts. So I've had a little experience myself.
Michael McDermott, Chi-Chi's is coming back. It'll be back by the summer. We appreciate the time here on CCO. Thanks, Michael.
Awesome. Good talking to you, Jason.
All right. They're crowdfunding as well. So you can buy stock in Chi-Chi's. If you really love that, fried ice cream, you can do it. DeRush Hour page 2 continues in a second.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Do you need to sell your house quickly? Chris Lindahl is your guy. It's Jason here for my friend Chris Lindahl. I love Chris. He is a friend of mine. I have worked with him when my wife and I were looking at houses last year. And in life, look, you're either thinking about moving or you're ready to rock. You're ready to move right now. If you are in that second category, man, life comes at you, right? Maybe you're expecting more kids, or you got to relocate for work, or your house is too much to take care of now. Maybe there's a death in a family or a divorce, something big that is happening, and you just need to move today. The more ready you are to sell, the better a guaranteed cash offer looks. It is so smart. You skip all the headaches of negotiating with buyers. You don't pay commissions, no repairs, no showings, no sign in the yard, no open houses. It's just done. You're in control. It's easy, convenient, it's private. Do not stress out about this. Don't waste another minute. Get your guaranteed cash offer today. You know where to go. You know the guy, the arms are wide out. It's my friend ChrisLindahl.com. Go to
Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stings that just will never come out. Down in the real estate. Every now and then I rent it out. One wash and it delivers. One wash, it smells so clean. Downy Rinse and Refresh, it's a dream.
Downy Rinse and Refresh fights odor in just one wash, guaranteed.
How is your drive to school?
Let me tell you, I had to get my iced coffee first. I just can't seem to put it down. My favorite rapper just announced a tour. My phone was buzzing like crazy. I'm so excited. I had to text all my friends right then to talk about it. Then someone started calling me and...
Let's try that again.
I turned my phone off right away. I never drive distracted.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this important announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
DeRusha now returns on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Page 2 of the DRush Hour news headlines. And we start with some terrible news for crafters. All the Joann fabrics, all of them are now going to close. And so much big box real estate that's opening up. Joann is officially going out of business. All 800 stores all around the country, they're all closing. Last month, they announced they were going to close 12 Minnesota stores because they're in bankruptcy. And they were going to spare the Roseville, Edina, Minnetonka, on and on. Now they're all closing. When? We don't know. Layoffs will be extensive. St. Cloud State wants to knock down some buildings. I mean, have you been to St. Cloud State? It's probably time. Minnesota Star Tribune reporting on this. It's so interesting because St. Cloud State expanded over time in sort of a non-beautiful manner. They just kind of reached out in the neighborhood and start building. The entrances face different ways. There's no like normal quad. They're right on the Mississippi River, but you wouldn't know it because all the buildings have their back towards the Mississippi. So they are looking at knocking down several unused or underused buildings in the next 2 decades and then make a park and pedestrian space. What I was surprised to read is that all 11 institutions in the Minnesota State system, all 11 except for Mankato, have requests to knock down some buildings. More than $40 million they're looking for from the legislature to knock down stuff. But like enrollment has changed. The needs of students have changed. All of this has changed. And so it's time. It is time for that to happen. Dan, how strong are your feet?
Today, what I want to share with you is a series of 5 different foot mobility and strengthening exercises that your feet will love.
It's a question I never considered until the New York Times brought it up, writing about foot strength. I honestly, the only time I ever thought about this was when Carlos Correa last week was talking about his foot exercise regimen that he has now. Also, there's an online education resource focused on foot health, which I learned about at the New York Times called Gait Happens. It's just weird. Proving there's money to be made at just about anything. Mayo Clinic says moving is a good workout for your feet. Just walking around stretches all of those muscles. But you can do 2 tests. One is a toe dexterity test. So, Dan, try to lift your big toe while keeping your other toes flat on the ground. Now just stretch that toe. Stretch her out. If you can't do it, you might have foot weakness. Foot weakness. Toe weakness is the single biggest predictor of falls when we get older. So as funny as this sounds, it does matter. That is the DRush Hour news headlines. In minutes, We are going to talk to a Minnesota state legislator who I think has proposed the most brilliant piece of legislation that I can remember in the last 5 years. That's how good this is. We'll tell you what it is when we come back.
Drive Time with DeRusha is hitting the off-ramp for a quick stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Spring cleanup is just around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that spring break trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros with the highest quality workmanship and materials. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros, AdvantageHomePros.com.
So today we have Albert from UCare to help decomplicate Medicare plans for people who are just starting to learn about it. Tell me a little bit about Original Medicare and Medicare supplement plans.
Original Medicare is designed for medical expenditures. And then you have your Medicare supplement plans. They're designed to help cover the other 20% that Medicare leaves out. Most other costs are covered under your supplement plan. They do offer a nationwide coverage as well. They will be accepted anywhere that Original Medicare is accepted. Medicare supplement plans will provide a level of predictability instead of thinking about co-pays and constant costs. You pay your monthly premium one time a month, and your medical costs are mostly covered.
So why should someone go with UCare?
So UCare does have competitive rates. Some of the lowest rates statewide that you can find, no-cost fitness options and hearing aid discounts, and a large dedicated broker network that's willing to take all the time needed to help you find the right plan to secure your long-term health goals.
For more, contact a local broker and visit ucare.org.
I'm Karen Heitz with Baird Private Wealth Management. At Baird, investing and financial planning are just part of the solution. Just as important is our personal commitment to your success. Meeting with you, answering your questions, working with your tax and legal advisors so you can see your complete financial picture come together. Focused on you, no matter what. That's how Baird's been doing business for more than 100 years. Discover the Baird difference. Visit BairdTwinCities.com.
You know, we've all gotten unsolicited cash offers for our homes. I get it. It can make moving less stressful. But if you go that route, there's a good chance you'll be leaving money on the table. Hey, it's Benita. If you're thinking of selling and don't want the stress, call my buddy, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group Coldwell Banker Realty. Corinne just worked with John to sell a loved one's home. She wanted the convenience and she got it. John helped her. His marketing system helped get multiple offers for Corinne's home. All the attention led to her home selling for $30,000 over the asking. $75,000 more than that below market investor cash offer she originally got. Contact John for full details, 952-222-9000, online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-253-6259. 800-253-6259. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-253-6259.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Treasure Island Resort and Casino, West 94, the area of Riverside, getting rid of a stall blocking. Looks like it might be toward the ramp area there. In the meantime, traffic is slow through there. Eastbound is jammed up out of downtown over to Snelling Avenue. North 100, Minnetonka Boulevard, got a crash working there. Traffic squeaking by off to the right side. Slowdowns prior to Excelsior Boulevard. Armed with a guitar, cowboy boots, and country flair, Terry Clark bringing her boot-stomping jams back to Treasure Island. Enjoy award-winning hits like Better Things to Do, Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me, and I Just Want to Be Mad when she takes the stage this Saturday, March 1st. Trey Peterson, New Talk 830 WCC.
More than 50,000 Minnesota students are part of the Wild About Reading program, encouraging students to read more using Minnesota Wild branded posters, reading logs, and bookmarks. It's all supported by Flint Hills Resources. Go to wild.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather's brought to you by Flint Hills Resources, who are partnering with that Wild About Reading at wild.com. Here is Chris Schaefer.
It's still so mild out there that we have rain in the forecast tonight. Falling back to 35, so there shouldn't be any mixing going on. Mostly cloudy with a high of 44 tomorrow. We'll stay in the mid-40s Thursday, but the wind is going to pick up a bit. That'll make it feel cooler. It will be warm Friday, but a very windy day and a notably cooler day for our Saturday.
It is 45 degrees in downtown Minneapolis. Winds gusting up to 10 miles an hour here on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha.
You look like maybe you're about to recite some poetry or sit in a corner with a little glass of wine and pontificate about something.
Yeah.
Yes, very debonair.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I wish you could see me, wish you could believe.
It is rare on this show that we hear about a proposed bill at the state legislature and we say that is the smartest thing I've heard of in a long time. But that is what happened when we heard about the proposal from State Representative Andrew Myers, who is with us right now on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline. Andrew, thanks for being with us. How are you?
Good. How are you, Jason?
Well, I'm glad to talk to you because I want to know what made you think of this idea where you have a number of proposals, but the one that got my attention was saying that if you are on the education policy or education finance committee in the legislature, you should actually get your butt into a classroom. How did this come up?
Well, I'm a father of 4 young kids that, go to public school. My sister's a teacher over here. My mom was a teacher. And, I'm serving my second term down there. And it seemed to me what a novel concept of, not listening so much in the dome, which is the Capitol, but listening to people back home, which led me to reaching out to more teachers and, to amplify their voice, which a lot of them would tell me, man, if these legislators came into my classroom, they could really see what it's like. And these teachers say every year, maybe I've taught 20 years, but I haven't taught for 20 years. I've taught 20 individual years. And I'm just trying to do something a little bit different to get, their voice to be amplified, to get some good and better policies within our schools.
Representative Andrew Myers is a Republican, but the reaction to this and the bill that's being proposed right now is that lawmakers would have to spend at least 12 hours observing a K through 12 teacher or administrator every 2 years. So that's not like a huge ask, is it? I don't think so.
No, I don't think it is. I mean, I understand we get busy down there, but, we have a part-time legislature and, I'm hopeful that a lot of people are going and speaking to their local educators. But for example, I have no kids in high school. This would be a great opportunity for me to get into a high school and learn what the big kids and those educators have to deal with versus the elementary school that I'm in.
Do you get a sense that sometimes the lawmaker, without naming name, but that sometimes the lawmakers who are making policy in certain areas don't really know what they're talking about as far as what is going on the ground?
Yeah. So, we've, as you said, I put a couple bills together and the premise behind those and what I've called them are the boots on the ground. Being not the most, politically minded person, this is, again, I'm very focused on public service. I see down in that Capitol, not as much, not a lot of humility from some legislators. And we've got to be able to, swallow our pride, put ourselves in those situations so we can support our local communities.
You're you have some similar bills requiring the Children and Families Finance and Policy Committee. They got to go see some child care facilities. The Public Safety and Finance and Policy Committee, they have to do ride-alongs with law enforcement or firefighters. What kind of reaction have you had from fellow lawmakers?
I think they really like the concept. I mean, it just seems something that's very common sense, but I've got two hearings on Thursday, one for the education bill and one for the public safety bill, to go and, again, get outside of our comfort zone. But when I was a council member, I went through use of force training and was put in a situation where I ended up, it was a pretend situation, but we had guns that shot pellets.
Yep.
And at the end of the situation, the chief looked at me and he's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Oh, my partner shot the suspect." And the chief looks at me and goes, "Andrew, you shot twice." And I didn't even know that. And and he tells that story a lot. And he goes, "Andrew, you're not the only person this has happened to." So, getting outside our comfort zone and better understanding what law enforcement, our child care providers, our educators, our administrators at these schools go through will do a lot of good for all of our policy making.
Man, it's just so refreshing because I think about it too. Like in this job, I spout off on all sorts of different topics, and I have tried to get out there. I was a reporter for a long time before I became a talk show host, and you do learn the most. Like obviously, looking at things from a 30,000-foot view is also useful, right? Like one classroom's experience doesn't necessarily make for great statewide policy, but boy, it sure helps. At least you have some perspective as to what's going on out there, where you're more connected with reality instead of with whatever lobbyists or whatever the political talking points are, or whatever your side says you're supposed to think. I just think this is brilliant. It's brilliant.
No, and I appreciate that. I mean, it's something we have bipartisan support on. I think people see the value in this. We're going to continue, pushing this forward. Hopefully we can get this to the floor for a vote. And I think educators are excited about it. But, the hope is 12 hours. I mean, that's 3 hours in a elementary school, 3 hours in a middle school, and 3 hours in a high school. Yeah. And then, spend 3 hours with your administrator, spend 3 hours with your finance director. All these things can really help us. And these perspectives are all very different because what's going on in a Minnetonka school district could be very different than what's going on in the Onamia school district.
Now, I haven't seen, I know there have been a couple of House votes so far, and everybody sort of lines up with their side. It's one of the frustrating things, I think, for people probably like you. You said you're not an overtly political person. You're more interested in service. That's sort of where I am as well. Is there hope that we can get, have we moved past some of the bruised feelings that kind of marred the start of this session? Is there a chance we could get some bipartisan approval on something?
I think that's the only way this is going to work. It's a budget year for us, and that's the priority. We have a job to do, for Minnesotans to get a budget and to work together, but you also have to look back the previous 2 years. I mean, I tried hard, as a new member. I voted almost 25% of the time across party lines because I'm willing to find common ground, but we got to have some of those reasonable, pragmatic solutions. I think this is actually an environment where the middle can succeed on passing some good legislation and, that budget that's so important to state.
Yeah. Well, this is a great idea. I love where you're coming from. Just this idea of getting boots on the ground and understanding what's happening, especially in these important areas where really there is much to learn by getting out there. So kudos to you. We're going to follow it. So make sure you keep us in the loop as to how this bill moves along through the process.
Thank you, Jason, for having me on.
Good stuff. Andrew Myers, the representative out in Tonka Bay. They'd have to do like a little book report, sort of, so people would know that you just didn't go visit with a bunch of principals. That you talked to some teachers too, but maybe you talked to some custodians. Maybe you talked to, like you said, the finance director. I think this is brilliant.
A lot of talk about justifying your job these days. Recently, this is This is where it would be actually helpful to have folks, making sure that if they're commenting on a specific area of legislation, that they have some, he used the term boots on the ground, which I just think is fabulous. Whether it's in a classroom or wherever your area of focus is, you should be there, at least for a small amount of time, getting some, real feedback.
Yeah, and a lot of times it challenges maybe what your political belief is. If you're open to it, I mean, that's the thing. Like, let's not be total pie in the sky about this stuff, because the reality is this is the kind of thing that sounds great. But if you don't go into it with an open viewpoint and an open mind, well, then you're just going to hear people you already believe, you already agree with, and what are we doing? But I think it's really smart. A texter said, I'm a school principal who just had a conversation with this representative, with Representative Myers. He asked good questions, cared about the responses, and truly seems to care about what's happening in the school.
What a concept for public service.
That's it, man. Like, I think a lot of us, everybody wants the same things. We have different ideas about how to get there, but there are probably more things that we agree on. And even if it feels like a small change, but we could make life better, making those small changes, the big stuff. There's a reason it's the big stuff. It's hard, but there's a lot of stuff that's like middle stuff. You know what I mean? Where you can come together and actually make a difference in people's lives, but you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to go out there, put yourself in an uncomfortable situation where somebody who maybe didn't vote for you or maybe doesn't agree with you is going to teach you something. So the fact we have to mandate this is sort of lunacy, but sometimes it's like you and I, like there's some workplace rule where you're like, oh, I hate that they make us do it, but I guess you better make us do it because I'm not going to do it otherwise.
There's that.
So, like, I don't want to get too high and mighty about it because there are certain things around here. If you didn't make me get my expense report in at a certain time, maybe I wouldn't do it. Drive Time coming back with more in just a minute.
More Drive Time with DeRusha is on the way following these messages on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Many listeners have asked me what CBD products I use, and I am so happy to be able to share them with you on the radio. Jordana Green here. I really want to destigmatize CBD and reveal compelling health benefits that I've experienced. I use Mini-Leaf. Check out Minileaf.com, MINNELEAF.com. I use these products. I would not recommend them to you if I didn't. Mark has used them. We have both experienced the benefits from the Triple Diamond Pain Cream. It's such relief. And also those Sleep Night gummies, the best night's sleep I have had in a while. No pharmaceuticals needed. Check out the true benefits of CBD. You can see they're 100% natural Mini-Leafs products, and you can look at the studies on the website. Minileaf.com. MINNELEAF. Tell them Jordana sent you.
Mini-Leaf means quality. Taste happy at Minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Attention. Have you racked up more in credit? Really getting by making minimum payments. With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-668-6655. That's 800-668-6655. Again, that's 800-668-6655.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text LINE to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text LINE to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text LINE to 200-300. That's LINE to 200-300. LINE to 200-300.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Shop in, store online. Got the crash continuing to slow things down. North 169, Minnetonka Boulevard. Traffic squeezing by off to the right shoulder and part of the right lane. So 2 lanes of traffic barely getting through the area. Traffic in the meantime is a bit slow coming up on Highway 7. Crosstown eastbound jammed up. Tracy over to Cedar. 94 eastbound watching slowdowns there past Riverside to Snelling Avenue. Save on quality mains at Whole Foods Market. Get 20% off. No antibiotics ever. Bone-in beef short ribs with Prime through February 25th. Braised until tender. The Dutch oven. Serve over steamed rice. While supplies last, shop in, store online. Terms apply. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jordana Green here. I pray you and your family are always safe. But if there's ever a time where you need an advocate after an accident, let Mike Bryant of Bradshaw and Bryant help you. He will work with and for you in dealing with the insurance company. Call 800-770-7008 today. Bradshaw and Bryant, seeking justice for the injured.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorney seeking justice for the injured. Bring us Chris Schaefer's forecast. Some rain tonight, low of 35. Tomorrow and Thursday, sort of the same deal. Cloudy, 44. That's 12 degrees above the average. Warm up Friday, too. The weekend, much cooler. Back to the low 30s. Right now, it is 45 in Brooklyn Park on CCO.
Drive time continues on the roads and on your radio. News Talk 830 WCCO.
And Cook. Austin Space, nerd out. This is going to be you tonight. Roll forward thrust.
Okay, that's it.
Your telescope.
Sadly, it's not going to be me tonight because the clouds are
Come on.
I'm not going to cooperate this evening. Maybe tomorrow night. So we are in a season where.
Are you sure you don't want the music?
Yeah, I'm really sure.
How about a little more music?
Nope,
a little more Lost in Space. John Williams before he was John Williams. Right? The themes for a goofy TV show. What are we not going to be able to see?
We're not going to be able to see the other 7 planets. Will all be visible with the naked eye or with a telescope in the sky in the same evening.
7 planets all visible.
Yes, but not here.
What are the 7 planets? Can you name them?
Mercury, Venus will be very visible even in the west. I saw Venus in the clouds. Venus is really bright right now. But Mercury's out there, Venus is out there. Saturn will be sort of over in the west, and then as you go further east, Jupiter, and Mars will be up over there as well. So those are the other 7.
Which one is not really a planet? Though?
Pluto.
Oh, Pluto's out.
Pluto's the one that's
Neptune a planet?
Dwarf planet. Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the gas giants. So not quite as big, obviously, as Saturn and Jupiter, but still very sizable.
This is disappointing that we can't see it.
It's kind of a bummer. The thing of it is
this rare?
It's not as
There's
rare.
like headlines all over the place.
There's headlines all over the place.
Your best chance to see rare parade of 7 planets.
Does it happen all the time? No, but every few years, does it happen? Yeah. It's not.
Well, the next time is October 2028. That's not rare.
It's not. It's not every day.
Rare.
It's not every day.
Well, you don't expect it, right?
All the planets are on the same plane, essentially, right? So they all follow the same basic arc in the sky. It's just a matter of where they're at in their orbits, which are obviously wildly different time-wise, so that they can be in our night sky all at the same time.
Now, you were showing me a planet when we were down in Florida, right?
I think I was pointing out Venus and Jupiter to you when we were down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
how would you characterize my reaction?
Very nonplussed.
Yeah.
Which is part of why I made sure to point it out, because I know how little you care about this stuff, and that's what amuses me. Plus, I wanted to show off my little music. Really, do we have to?
This has been Dan Cook. I feel like we need I like it. So just because I don't care,
Right.
there are lots of things I don't care about, but I like when people are excited about something. I think that's cool. I'm very excited to annoy people by playing this song, and you're uninterested.
I'm very uninterested in music, but I do love the nerding out. Fascinating stuff.
If people want, because you post videos on TikTok sometimes, right?
TikTok sometimes, Instagram, you can see stuff.
So where
there as
should
well.
people follow
Just
your
at Dan Cook MN on TikTok or
because
Instagram is
I
probably
think we have a lot of listeners who are sort of weirdos also. And
I'm glad you characterized me that way. That's very kind of you.
Just
Thank
really
you very
enjoy.
much.
I think it'd be really
Appreciate that.
enjoyable. They could have a community. Have you thought about this? I was thinking about having a show book club. What if we had a show Star? Club?
I did.
We'd call it Star Party. Is that a thing?
Well, there are star parties actually. There's a observatory out in Norwood, Young America, that the Minnesota Astronomical Society runs.
Okay.
And every other Saturday, I think starting, don't quote me on this. Is it April or May? Every other Saturday night, they have a star party out there. You can go and look at all their equipment and bring your own equipment out there. I actually brought members of my church out there last fall. We did a star party for the church, and everybody had a blast. It was a great time.
Eagle Lake
Observatory. Yep. Yep.
Well, Spring Astronomy Day is coming up on April 29th.
There you go.
Is that true or not? I don't know.
I'm sure it is. Why would they put that on their website if it wasn't?
There's a party. I don't know. Star parties. Is it fun to be March 22nd? There's one.
Is this? Oh, so even starting in March. There you go.
Yeah.
It usually runs March into October. Well, actually, October.
I
Maybe
suppose you have not much light pollution out there, so it's pretty good.
It's less. There's still some because you can see the downtown Minneapolis to the east. So especially if you're trying to view objects in the eastern sky, there's still some light pollution there. But to the west, it's really dark and nice.
Are you sure it's Uranus? Is how it's pronounced?
That's how I pronounce it.
Why do you go that way?
Because the other way is just your 12-year-old self indulging yourself, and that's fine if you want to be that person. You can absolutely do that.
I like to look at the stars for the Minneapolis Club.
That's also a great place to look at.
Yeah.
It from. Yeah.
But I'm looking at luminaries of the business community.
Oh, different kind of stars.
Different kind of stars. I had lunch with Dave Schwartz there, and it was like a constellation. I just saw the sky lit up with Schwartzy's head. It's amazing.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like asterisk-free checking with no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. Hey, Twin Cities, is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch.